está disponible. Gracias.
Thank you. Gracias también. All right. If you wish to view closed captions of this meeting, please view the meeting on the San Mateo Union High School District Board Meeting YouTube channel. The link to the YouTube channel can be found on our website. You may view the captions in English as we live stream our meeting tonight, and you may view the captions in a variety of other languages if you choose to watch this after the meeting has ended. Viewers may request additional accommodations by calling 650-558-2201. For our deaf and hard of hearing community, we have a team from Hannah Interpreting Services, and they will be interpreting our meeting this evening. We would like to ask everyone to speak in a clear and reasonable pace for our interpreters. Thank you. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Actions taken in closed session. In closed session, the board, upon motion of Trustee Griffin and seconded by Trustee Chavez, moved to approve 3 special education settlements with a vote of 4-0. If you are joining us in person and wish to make a comment about an agenda item or during this public comment section at the beginning of the agenda, please fill out a request to address the board form and submit it to the secretary. This form should be given to the secretary before an agenda item begins. If you are joining us virtually, please use the raised hand feature on Zoom to be recognized. When invited to do so by the board president for each item on which you wish to comment, you will be admitted to speak as a panelist during the public comment period. The board president will call on you. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allotted for public comment depending upon the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. So I have some comments in person. Do we have any comments online?
There are no online comments.
Okay, great. So with that, I'm going to call David Nagar.
Thank you, Greg. Good evening. I'm David Nagar. I'm here publicly because my request to meet with each of you privately has been sadly ignored, presumably at the instruction of Dr. Booker or perhaps an attorney. I've asked to meet privately with Angela Taylor, the director of the San Mateo Adult School. I've asked to meet with Deputy Superintendent Black, and I've asked to speak on the telephone with Superintendent Booker. These requests have been denied as well. I asked all of you and Superintendents Black and Booker to conduct an independent investigation into what is going on at the adult school and the capricious and unjust nature of my sister's non-reelection to her teaching position. She is an undisputed, excellent teacher. Her students loved her. It is your job to root out the rot. So while I have chosen to do this privately, or I would have chosen to do it privately, you or your advisors have left me no alternative but to appear tonight publicly. When I spoke to you at the closed session of the board back in April, I offered to help you with an investigation and to provide the documents supporting that investigation. The documents speak for themselves. I'm here publicly to hand you binders containing those documents, the evidence of wrongdoing to my sister, the defamation, the untruths, and the ineptitude of the district's employees you oversee. What was done to my sister, in my view, illegally and in violation of the education code, has been done. If the director at the adult school does not want a dedicated, excellent teacher at her school, it's as much about the director and very little about the teacher. I hope you appreciate that my sister, Tamara Donovan, served at the adult school in large measure as her way of giving back to the community, so immigrants could have more opportunities in their new life in the United States and not be second-class citizens. The ratification of her non-re-election, if it actually occurred on March 15th, did not serve the new immigrant students. It did not serve the teachers of the adult school, and it did not serve to correct the poor culture that currently exists at the adult school. Simply, it was not in the best interest of the district. I'm here to ask you publicly to do the right thing. Do the work you need to do to fix a dysfunctional adult school for the good of the students, so that other teachers are not swept away by the duplicity and the ineptitude that will be apparent to you once you read through the material in the binders. You are the overseers that protect the schools and the public from rogue behavior. I know you are well-intentioned, judge the behavior of the director and the supervisors dispassionately, and take the actions you feel are necessary to right the ship. Thank you. I'm going to hand you binders, and Terry's been gracious enough to take Jennifer's binder. And I hope you really take seriously and look at all the information that's in there. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna call my next speaker. Next speaker is Tamara Donovan. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Tamara Donovan, and for the last 4 years, I've been a teacher at the San Mateo Adult School teaching English as a second language. When I first began teaching there, it was a vibrant and collaborative community of hardworking educators. Sadly, much has changed, and for the district, the adult school seems to have become an afterthought. You have heard and will read about what has happened to me. The last time I was here, I felt intimidated and defeated, so I let my brother advocate for me. I am not intimidated anymore because I have nothing left to lose. I am here today speaking for those who still do. I am here because I care deeply about what happens at the adult school. The day I was handed my non-reelection notice, I was assured by Kirk Black that this is a common occurrence. But that is not true at the adult school because our school suffers from a chronic shortage of teachers. The pay and benefits are lower than for the other teachers in the district. The hours are long, the class size is too large, and prep time is for the most part unpaid. The teachers who work there do so out of a desire to be of service. I believe I was terminated because I questioned our current leadership and spoke with other teachers about our shared concerns. While I was praised publicly and privately by our director, Angela Taylor, for my teaching, on 2 separate occasions, I was admonished with accusations which were exaggerated or untrue. At one of these meetings, I was even told that I should stop speaking with other teachers about these concerns. I also believe my non-reelection was meant to silence and intimidate fellow teachers, to send a message that speaking out could result in a similar fate. I've reached out, since my departure, several colleagues, both former and current, have reached out to share their frustration and stories of their personal maltreatment. I've heard from teachers who chose to leave or retire rather than remain, and I've heard from teachers still serving who say they are afraid to speak up. Angela Taylor is a weak administrator. She lacks experience, is unsupportive, and has little interest in what takes place in the classrooms. On May 8th, teachers from the union met with Randall Booker to discuss concerns about Ms. Taylor's lack of leadership and presence on campus. Dr. Booker suggested the teachers reset their expectations. I don't believe their expectations are unreasonable. The adult school deserves a director who is collaborative and actively present. Instead, they have a leader who is critical, punitive, and unavailable. Morale is low, teachers feel unappreciated, and the quality of adult education is suffering. I have witnessed the decline, and it breaks my heart. Please look further into what is happening there. The work of the adult school is too important to let it decay any further. A change of leadership is needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Robin Clements. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Robin Clemens. I'm Susie Q Public right now. I don't have the other hat on, but what I'd like to talk about is a little bit about me saying, oh, look at this white lady standing here. No, no, no. Black is not as dominant as you think it is as it goes through the gene pool. My mom is Black, my dad is white, and I'm from the south side of Chicago. I'm 64 years old. I have a little bit of attitude. All right, maybe I have a lot of attitude, but I'm working real hard on curbing it. But what I like is that I work for maintenance and operations department, and we're so awesome together. We support each other. We do things together. It's more than just work. Everyone's happy to be there. What a concept. in the working environment. I love it. As I was reading job descriptions, I saw that it said one time, oh, you have to be nice to your employees and coworkers. It's like, what? I don't remember that on mine. And it said it in 3 different places. So I really hope that people strive to make sure that happens, because that's not the case in other departments, which I have learned painfully through my work with that other hat that I wear. Also, I want people to learn how to communicate better with everybody. The classified staff are not second, rate folks. We're great. And I'll tell you that every day. I looked at all the high school graduation flyers, and only Hillsdale made no mention of operations staff, but we weren't alone. Nutrition services wasn't listed either, but everyone should be recognized. Like Dr. Booker said it, Mr. Booker said at the beginning of the school year, we're a team. We're all educators. We have fabulous looking campuses, despite the fact we can't use Roundup. So, and that's another issue, but I love the job. I love everyone that works hard to communicate well and clearly. And I really hope that can be more apparent in other departments besides just ours. The end. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Land, we have someone online with their
Okay.
hand raised.
Hi, Candace.
Hi.
You have 3 minutes anytime you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So I wanted to talk about safety and security plans for the site, given what happened last Friday. I know all of our board members and superintendents and administrators have been on all of the campuses, and they are too open. Anyone can walk onto the campuses at any time. I am also troubled by Mr. Booker's response to increase police presence at summer school. I hope this is temporary and will not go to other sites. More police presence leads to students of color being targeted. This can also lead to faculty and staff of color feeling potentially unsafe in the workplace with increased police presence. Police does not equal safety for all communities. I also hope that our district is taking preventative measures instead of reactive measures to deal with what sounds like maybe could be gang violence. Looking at our work through empowerment through action at Hillsdale and taking the lead from them. I also hope that our district will increase wellness resources for the students, not only in summer school, but throughout our district. And also the email lacked wellness resources for classified and certificated teachers. So I'm hoping Mr. Booker will send out an email about what resources are available to faculty and staff there. I also want to speak quickly about the Costa Educational Partnership, our work with them being terminated for next school year. I'm really disappointed by this. I'm disappointed with the way that it was told to us on the day of finals week at like 4:45 p.m., us receiving an email. We couldn't even get like a Zoom meeting or like any face-to-face communication, seeing as that ethnic studies teachers got together just a few weeks before that. It seems like the superintendent kowtowed to Zionists and to other white folks who were against us working with the Acosta Educational Partnerships. Hiring Black consultants is not enough. And your allyship is deeply in question. It also seems like you're lining up ethnic studies teachers to take the fall if supporting ethnic studies becomes politically inconvenient for you, Mr. Booker. So I'm hoping that sites will have accountable and actionable plans for their anti-racist work and equity work. I'm also hoping that our district stops with the 2 days of anti-PD work for the anti-racism PD work, so our superintendent can say all the buzzwords to make himself and all the other white teachers feel good. And Also, I'm just concerned about the recent attacks, not only on ethnic studies, but also on US history to maintain white supremacy and hegemony in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on. You know what? We're running behind. I'm going to move board comments to the end with board operations as president. So I'm going to move Kay to at the end of the meeting so we can do that then. I'm going to move then to communications of the Board of Trustees. Is there any communications to the boards of trustees?
No, not tonight.
Okay, so then I'm going to move to recognition. So I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Booker.
Thank you very much, President Land. So this evening we have a Juneteenth proclamation that I'm recommending that the board approves. I'd like to read it tonight, if I may. This is the San Mateo Union High School District Juneteenth proclamation, which occurs on June 9th, 2023. Whereas after the Union Army captured New Orleans in 1862, slave owners in Confederate states migrated to Texas with more than 150,000 enslaved Black persons. For 3 years, even after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, enslaved Black Americans in Texas remained in brutal bondage, immorally and illegally deprived of their freedom and basic dignity. Whereas on June 19th, 1865, over 2 years after President Lincoln declared all enslaved persons free, Union Army troops marched to Galveston, Texas, to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation and free the last enslaved Black Americans in Texas. Whereas those who were freed from bondage celebrated their long overdue emancipation on June 19th, today, our nation commemorates Juneteenth, a chance to celebrate human freedom, reflect on the grievous and ongoing legacy of slavery, and rededicate ourselves to rooting out the systemic racism that continues to plague our society as we strive to deliver the full promise of America to every American. Whereas the post-emancipation period known as Reconstruction marked an era of great hope, uncertainty, and struggle for a nation as a whole, formerly enslaved people immediately sought to reunify families, establish schools, run for political office, push radical legislation, and even sue slaveholders for compensation. Whereas the joyous commemorations that began in Texas spread around the nation, with cities and communities in California joining in celebration of this milestone in the ongoing American journey toward freedom for all. Whereas since 2003, the state of California has celebrated Juneteenth as a day to honor and reflect on the significant contributions of Black Americans to our nation. Whereas Opal Lee, the 94-year-old activist known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, pushed for years for June 19th to become a national holiday, which included walking 1,400 miles from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. at 90 years old in 2016 to bring awareness of America's other Independence Day. Whereas President Joe Biden signed a bill in 2021 making Juneteenth a federal holiday. And whereas we are often reminded that the poisonous ideology of racism has not yet been defeated, Juneteenth is a day to reflect on both bondage and freedom, a day of both pain and purpose. It is, in equal measure, a remembrance of both the long, hard night of slavery and subjugation, as well as a celebration of the promise of a brighter morning to come. And whereas on Juneteenth, we remember our extraordinary capacity to heal, to hope, and to emerge from our worst moments as a stronger, freer, and just nation. It is also a day to celebrate the power and resilience of Black Americans who have endured generations of oppression and the ongoing journey toward equal justice, equal dignity, equal rights, and equal opportunity in America. Whereas we urge members of our community to reflect on the ongoing cause of freedom for Black Americans. As we honor Juneteenth, let us all renew our commitment to use our power to stamp out racism in our communities and institutions and help secure freedom for all. Now therefore, be it proclaimed, the San Mateo Union High School District does hereby declare June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day, a day of observance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment real quick?
Please.
I just wanted to let people know that there are a ton of Juneteenth celebrations on the 14th of June at the San Mateo Public Library. At 6 p.m. There will be the kickoff of a film festival. So if anybody's interested in that.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone would like to?
I'll make a
approve of the-
motion to adopt it. I do have a couple of comments.
Okay.
And, you know, my family has celebrated Juneteenth back to when, way before I was ever here. It was primarily African Americans from Texas. You know, I was hoping that we would have had some of our outstanding African American students read that. And I don't know, maybe for next year, we'll make a mental note and round them up and maybe
Before
give
they
them,
leave.
and, you know, and have an opportunity for both to write it and to read it. The other thing about this, and it's well written. I mean, it's it's outstanding. Which means that maybe you had some of our expert people here, not that you can't write well, but the thing was, Reconstruction was such a mess, and it was not, it may have been full of promise, but it was empty. And it just, it started one direction and it ended up a whole other direction. And as far as I'm concerned, as much as I enjoy a holiday, any holiday, America still hasn't delivered on its promise to African Americans. I mean, and I say that with all the good intentions that are in this room and all the, the intentions of people that really do mean well. The promise has not been delivered on, and we're just cycling through the thing. I mean, history repeats itself, and we do need to break that chain, that it just keeps going and going. So I do appreciate that we're recognizing a holiday. It's important. And I don't mean to denigrate your reading, your spirit. Yeah, you look so serious. Like
I'm thinking, keep going.
that we continue to work on this. But
Thank you, Trustee Giffen. Yeah. And I'll second.
I appreciate what you have to say. That was very cool.
And I'd like to make a comment about just like Trustee Zuniga, you help me remember that there are some upcoming celebrations. So Saturday, June 10th from 12 to 3 p.m. we have a free barbecue at San Bruno Park to celebrate Juneteenth. And then the following Saturday, June 17th at Millbrae Rec Center. So back-to-back Saturdays in San Bruno and Millbrae and others other community festivities, but wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so the proclamation has been approved by Trustee Griffin, seconded by Trustee Andrade Zuniga. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carried 4-0. Thank you.
and Foster City Black residents are having a Juneteenth celebration themselves
Nice.
over in the park.
All right. Thank you all for your contributions on that. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to move to consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull any item?
I was going to pull item. Where's it? Can you?
Yeah, you
sorry,
wanted to do the minutes.
The minutes. But they're just some simple typos. I don't know if we could just.
Yeah, it's
go
number
down.
3. So instead of pulling it, can we make a note in the minutes that we'd like to get them
Yeah.
spell checked
Yeah,
and
with flexibility.
yeah. Okay. So instead of removing them, we'll do a consent with a note to check them out for spelling errors and some typos. Yeah, it's
They're
just
just
typos.
little typos.
So it's not substantive changes. Okay. Excellent. Okay. With that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as is?
I will move to approve the consent. agenda.
Second,
Okay. Motion made by Trustee Andrade Zuniga, seconded by Trustee Griffin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 4-0. All right, off to regular reports. Report of the superintendent.
Thank you. Just very quickly, I only have one report to offer, and that is just tremendous thanks for everyone's participation in our graduations over the last week or so. Amazing graduations, beautiful ceremonies. It was so great to see smiling families and students. Big shout out to all of our maintenance and operation, landscaping. Everything looked fantastic, pristine. For our principals and assistant principals for putting on such great celebrations, all the parents that were involved to support, all the board members that spoke and participated. It's just really a lovely event, culminating event, and something which I think we should be extremely proud. So huge thanks. I want to wish all of our outgoing seniors the best of luck. I want to, for the first time, welcome all of our rising ninth graders as they'll be joining us in just a few months, and everyone in between. So thank you, and I hope everyone has a wonderful summer. I know we still have one more board meeting, but sometimes people check out a little bit as they head out for the month of June. So
We have two.
well, one closed session and one open session. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I always love the graduations. They're terrifying and wonderful all at the same moment. Anyway, well, just getting up to speak is hard. Okay, next is the report of the District Teachers Association representative. Hey.
Good evening, President Land, members of the board, and district cabinet. First and foremost, I'd just like to recognize both parties, both negotiation teams for our progress that we've made at the bargaining table this year. I think we have reached, let's just say, a common ground. We don't have an official TA yet, but as I'm going to channel Trustee Lee's Dwyer, who's not with us tonight, and suggest that no one is completely happy. So that usually means we have a pretty good agreement, or at least the skeletal nature of one. So I do appreciate the work that both teams did and the efforts that both sides made to find compromise. The second thing I'll mention is the budget. Looking forward to hearing Mr. Hawkins' presentation on the budget. Just want to recognize a few things. You know, we have a pretty sizable ending balance both this year and even going forward next year. I'm sure he'll mention a few things about that. We hope, as the Teachers Association and other components of the educational program, we hope that we can collaborate and make sure that most of that, if not all of that, heads toward the classroom as much as possible. I'd like to welcome the two appointed administrators, Mr. Harris at Cappuccino and Ms. Lane at Aragon. Welcome to the district. As I've said before, it's a great place to work, and look forward to collaborating with you in my role as a representative. The next item, the item on the agenda tonight that is for information only is both complex and complicated. And I'm speaking, of course, about the PE credit for athletics proposal, or for the first look. As I said, it's complicated and complex, and it's far more in that vein than it is an easy idea. At this point, I think there's been some thorough discussion. I think there needs to be more discussion, and most importantly, I implore the district and the board to have authentic input and conversations, and critical conversations with all the key stakeholders. And finally, regarding graduations, I'll take a point of personal privilege. This was the first year in my 30 years in this district that I went to a graduation other than Hillsdale, my school of employment. And I will say absolutely that it was a great day. It was a great afternoon. And it was actually really enjoyable to see so many other colleagues who also had children, students graduating from Aragon. So with that, I wish you all a happy summer. I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks, but it is good to be, even though I'm still in my classroom right now, it's good to not have bells controlling our daily lives. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy summer, and we'll see you soon. All right. Next, we have the report of the CSEA Chapter 519 representative. Hi again.
Again, thank you very much for giving us our time to talk a little bit about what we've been doing so far. We're moving forward on our things. We have our TA. It was all signed off. It went to headquarters for review. There was some language problem. It came back again. And with all the delays with signage and things, we finally got it approved today. The signage in-house. It's not all on the union like most people like to say. It just isn't. But y'all, we need to figure out a better system to make sure that we're getting this and that things aren't emailed to people who are on a 10-month schedule and then it sits for a week and things can't move forward. But we can get this signed, get it voted on, and then we can move on to the sunshine letter. But unfortunately, we don't have the time to have the group vote on it before the next board meeting. So I'm not really certain what that means as far as getting things done in a timely manner, but hopefully we can do better on it next year or August, whenever the next thing would go on. My other concern is the lack of transparency with with some groups with that we're not getting clear information. Things are happening behind the scenes that make it very hard for some of our employees to get the information they need and not be blindsided that a paycheck ends up $1,300 short, which was a third of his pay. It just can't happen like that. There are ed codes in place where this communication should occur, and it should have never been that it appears in his email box from the San Mateo County, whoever, this is your paycheck. I'm hoping that we can work together to make this process more transparent, clearer, and communicate better with each other. I don't think it's business services alone. HR is not innocent in this. And I just want to help make this work better. I'm not saying shame on you, a little bit maybe, but let's do it so it works and that people aren't blindsided and be respectful. That's all. We asked, would this have happened to a teacher in the district, which we all know it never would have happened. But they're like, oh, we would follow the code. It's like, really? Because that's not quite the case, because even though there's a work from home limit for people of 45 days per school year that was just voted and signed off in the whole 9 yards, some departments think that that doesn't apply to them, that they can work better from home. But based on this situation alone, that is seriously not the case. There's no one for us to follow up with. You come in 1 or 2 days a week, it's not sufficient. So please help us make sure everyone comes to work. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. We are moving on the agenda to special reports and appearances. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Booker.
I'm sorry. I think it's San Mateo Adult.
Oh, yeah, I
Teachers
missed one.
Association.
You're right. Report of the San Mateo Adults Teachers Association. I forgot that. Sorry.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Yay. Sorry
Hello.
about that. Hi.
Good evening, President Land and members of the board. My name is Jean Tom. I'm the testing and assessment coordinator at the school. I'm also a parent of 2 San Mateo High School Bearcats, class of 2012 and 2015. Woohoo! For those of you who don't know, San Mateo Adult School offers courses in the areas of ESL, high school diploma, GED, career and technical education, and also active adults. I'm here tonight to highlight 2 events from the past several months. The first is WASC, which is the school accreditation process, and then our summer registration for our ESL classes. WASC. I know many of the high schools are preparing for their WASC self-study, I think coming up in this next year, but we finished ours this past March. We began this process last year in August. We were very ably led by our Assistant Director, Kira Mann. We had full participation of our staff, both certificated and classified, and across all the programs. Everyone was assigned to a focus group. I'd like to thank Superintendent Booker, Assistant Superintendent Julia Kemke, Vice President Leisha Zuniga, and Trustee Terry Chavez for taking the time to participate in our WASC visit. It actually kind of began with an informal Sunday afternoon meeting, and a group of our students had the opportunity to meet with Superintendent Booker. Our ESL students were kind of thrilled, I think, for the opportunity to just share about their stories adjusting to life in the United States and how the adult schools help them achieve their goals. Over the 3-day WASC visit, the committee visited all of our classes, both our in-person classes as well as our Zoom classes, and including the morning, the afternoon, and our evening classes. And they met most of our staff through the focus groups. And I led one of them, which was the assessment group. Shortly after the visit concluded, we were notified that we were granted our 6-year accreditation, and we received an effective rating across all of our criterion. We're especially proud that we received a highly effective rating, which is the highest commendation for our student support services. We have 2 very dedicated career navigators and a student ambassador advisor who also happens to be a former San Mateo Adult School student. This demonstrates our school is committed to meet the needs of our students beyond their language skills. We worked very hard to get them to the services that they need to meet their goals, whether it be career, college, or just engagement in the community. My second topic is registration for our summer ESL classes. And although high school has the academic year has ended for the high school, we're still in full swing. Our classes conclude in mid-July. Registration for this semester was in late April and early May. Due to the demand that we see for our classes, registration is by lottery. And we offer several classes for our ESL students. There's a all skills class, which is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. We offer conversation, and we also offer writing. Registration and placement is a rigorous 2-day process, and we do several cycles of them, and they're conducted both in the morning and in the evening. For placement in ESL courses, with the exception of the various lowest level student, each student takes a standardized reading test. They do a writing sample, and they also have a verbal interview with our staff. And by the way, we do the same placement process for the students that are referred to us from the high school, the district, or from the Bridge program. We registered over 600 students this past semester, which covers the core classes, the conversation and writing classes. We estimate we turned away about 250 to 300 students, and that's a very strong indicator of demand for our school's offerings, particularly since summer is usually our lowest enrollment. After a 4-week break, we will be returning for class in August, and we'll be starting registration for the fall, and we anticipate even greater demand. In closing, I just want to thank you for your continued support of the adult school. My colleague, Lynette Garcia, who oversees our career and technical education program, will be presenting at the next meeting. And I thank you for your time and attention.
Jean, thank you. And sorry, I forgot you a little bit, but I'm glad we heard you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, now we are going to go to special reports and appearances. So I'm going to hand it over to Superintendent Booker.
Thank you. I'm really excited to introduce April Torres, who's our manager of mental health programs, as she provides a mental health and wellness year-end summary report. And for those at home, I really want to encourage you to take a look at the attached board memo, because it's just chocked with a wealth of information about how we run our health and wellness programs. I've asked Ms. Torres to, obviously do a much more abbreviated program review as a presentation, but really the memo is just the bones of all of it. So with that, I want to thank you for coming this evening and hand it off.
Thank you, Mr. Booker. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all again. I always get excited when we get to speak about this amazing program. We're at the end of our 7th year, and this year the report is even more special because we do have a couple of our staff members that are going to be speaking to all of you about our program. I'm going to do a little bit of introductions, and then I am going to hand it over to Adriana Gomez. She is one of our mental health therapists in our therapeutic program, at Burlingame High School, and to Melina Diaz, one of our district social workers that is hired under our LCSSP grant. So before I do that, I just want to give a brief overview of who we are and where we're at. So we have 33 mental health therapists in the district. We have 3 district social workers. We have 1 clinical supervisor, Stephanie Lamoy. We have 1 program assistant, Janice Fuentes, who really put this presentation together. So thank you, Janice. I know you're watching. Our associate manager of mental health, Joanne Michaels, and then myself, manager of mental health. Where are we at? We're at 7 high schools. We are at Middle College. We are at Bridge. Make sure I don't miss anybody. We're at our TEC programs, our therapeutic programs, and we are in our middle schools with our district social workers and the consortium grant. I want to preface this report with none of this would be possible without everybody's contributions, not just the amazing mental health team, but our superstar school counselors, our phenomenal teachers and district and site administration, and our dedicated and fabulous classified staff. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Miss Melina Diaz to start us off.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start us off and just discuss a little bit some statistics about the national mental health crisis. The Center for Disease and Control Prevention, the CDC, Youth Risk Behavior Survey data that was released in February of 2023. Their findings that the rate of depression and anxiety is at an all-time high. So that means that 3 in 5 teenage girls reported that they were feeling depressed and sad. That figure is up 60% from a decade ago. And then also 25% of girls had contemplated suicide the previous year, and 10% had actually made a suicide attempt. And then also more guys were feeling depressed and sad, and that figure from over the last decade arose from 21% to 27%. And the study also found that alcohol use was more prevalent among girls than boys. And nearly 69% of LGBTQ students reported persistent unhappiness. And the study also found that 52% of LGBTQ+ students reported having at least one day with poor mental health within the last 30 days. And 37% said that they made a suicide plan, and 22% said that they had made an attempt to carry out their plan.
So with all of that information, why the need for student well-being? Firstly, their academic success. Student well-being directly correlates with academic success. Promoting mental and physical health contributes to improved concentration, focus, and overall cognitive functioning, enhancing students' ability to succeed academically. Secondly, their social and emotional development. The importance of student well-being for their social and emotional development is imperative. Addressing mental health needs helps students build resilience, develop healthy relationships, and effectively manage stress, leading them to improve self-esteem and social skills. And thirdly, long-term well-being. Investing in our students' well-being sets the foundation for lifelong health and success. This equips our students with the tools to prioritize their mental and physical health, fostering habits that can positively impact their overall well-being into adulthood. And so in review of our program, we're going over 3 topics. There's student contacts, risk assessments and hospitalizations, and special education. So in regards to student contacts, our contacts with students and supporting our students' well-being goes beyond individual meetings or wellness without walls. Our therapists play a vital role in facilitating various groups that cater to different needs. These groups encompass a wide range, including grief support, ELL, newcomer, and mainstream groups, restorative circles, expressive arts, and ETA groups at Hillsdale High School, which was also a recipient of this year's Kent Award. Additionally, many of our therapists also serve as club advisors for Bring Change to Mind, Dungeons and Dragons, and Gender Expansive, just to name a few. And this further enhances the support available to our students. In addition to their individual and group meetings, our therapists actively contribute to classroom and school-wide presentations. We play a crucial role in delivering valuable insights and knowledge to students and staff and the wider school community. Furthermore, we therapists actively participate in staff development and professional development training, ensuring that the entire school community is equipped with the necessary tools and understanding to support student well-being effectively. In terms of risk assessments and hospitalizations, societal attitudes towards mental health have shifted, fostering greater openness in discussing and seeking help for mental health concerns. Consequently, more students are being identified and assessed for risk factors related to their mental well-being. Although there has been a slight decrease in risk assessments and hospitalizations this school year, it signifies a positive change in our awareness and response to mental health needs. Identifying and addressing these issues earlier enables us to implement appropriate interventions that support and promote the well-being of our students. In special education, we've successfully implemented an internal support framework in partnership with the special education program by employing 6 mental health therapists for our therapeutic class. In this specialized therapeutic support program, our mental health therapists provide specialized support and interventions to students who require additional mental health services within an educational setting. In order to provide equitable support for our ELL students, we have 4 dedicated mental health therapists who are committed to supporting the unique needs of our English language learner students at Bridge, Cappuccino High School, Hillsdale High School, and San Mateo High School, excuse me. We have a close partnership with our manager of English language learners, EL social workers, family engagement coordinators, and then other members of our EL staff alongside our ELL social worker. Alongside our ELL social worker, they have undertaken the essential work to ensure the well-being of our ELL students and their communities. Through this collaboration, we have developed strategies that address linguistic, social, and emotional challenges while fostering an inclusive and supportive environment to nurture a sense of belonging and community within our district. 5th, Learning Communities for School Success Program, or the LCSSP Consortium Grant, our district social workers. Their primary focus has been addressing student absenteeism, not only within the San Mateo Union High School District, but also in our partner districts. Through this initiative, we have developed comprehensive support processes for students and families aimed at promoting regular school attendance. We are so proud to add that this program has been recognized through the prestigious Russell Kent Award, which we were honored to receive this school year. And 6th, TUPE. In recent years, there has been a concerning increase in substance use among young people in the United States. According to the National Center for Drug Abuse Statistics, 2.08 million, or 8.33% of 12 to 17-year-olds have reported using drugs in the past month, leading to the declaration of this issue as a public health crisis. Our Tobacco Use Prevention Education Grant, or TUPE program, has played a crucial role in providing comprehensive support to the students and families. This demand for our TUPE services is high, as evidenced by a 28% increase in referrals during this past school year alone.
I'm going to discuss some of our student perspectives on campus. Students are the center of our work, so it is important to hear what they want more of and less of. These student voices have been based off of our senior survey, which is part of their senior checkout, and the panorama data that was collected from this year. Our objective is to ensure that every student on campus feels a sense of connection with someone. As direct providers, we all play a vital role in supporting our students, and an overwhelming 94% strongly agree that they have trusted support systems at their school. And following the accessibility is also a priority for us, and a crucial aspect of that is ensuring students know where to find support. At the beginning of each year, our mental health and wellness team introduces themselves in classrooms, and they share information about the services they offer and their locations to ensure students are aware and can easily access the support they need. And then the last one is this holds an immense significance as we recognize the unfiltered honesty of our students. We have a valuable opportunity to learn from those who have firsthand experiences, enabling us to improve and enhance our work By gaining deeper insights, we can continuously improve and strive towards doing better for the well-being of our students. To continue on, we're going to discuss some student recommendations for the mental health and wellness team. To ensure that we keep students at the center of our work and values, it's crucial to listen to their feedback regarding their preferences for more or less of certain aspects. The students' recommendations presented here were also collected through the senior survey and the panorama data. I'm going to go from top to bottom. So in regards to the more wellness counselors and more availability, in the realms of education and mental health, we are aware that the need for support is insatiable. And then in regards to more advertising and more accessibility, we have devised plans for additional promotional efforts in the upcoming school year, including the implementation of posters and additional lunchtime activities. These initiatives aim to further raise awareness and engagement among our students. And for more school assemblies and classroom presentations on mental health, this year we have established partnerships with RTS, EverForward, and One Love Foundation, which has provided valuable opportunities for classroom and school connections. This information is immensely valuable and will guide our future efforts and initiatives. And for the need of consistent emotional support dogs and other animals, Officer, Adult, and Rookie maintain regular appointments at our San Mateo schools and have successfully arranged for emotional support dogs to provide stress relief during critical times, such as like midterms and finals. And we're in agreement and enthusiastically aim to incorporate these initiatives more frequently in the future. And in regards to mental health training and support for teachers and other staff, it's truly inspiring to witness the realization among our young people regarding the significance of ensuring support and training in mental health for everyone. Lastly, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Even during the most challenging days, this is the driving force behind our work and the reason we persist. And this is really our why.
Okay. Sorry, I don't hold the remote at home either, so I'm trying to figure this out. I don't get it very often. So, our program evolution, it's inevitable, it's crucial, right? If we're going to meet the needs of our evolving students, our evolving student needs, and then also the long-term sustainability of our program. So we've come up with a couple of focus areas for next school year. We're really excited about them. And I'll start with the first one. And actually, Superintendent Booker recommended this, and our leads really took this on and said, yes, we want to do this. So we've already started partnering, building out a skeleton, first draft. So we're excited about the development and the implementation of the Mental Health Advisory Committee. And that really is, we feel like that's really going to promote collaboration. It'll promote diverse perspectives and just really support the community involvement as a whole in our program and building it out. And then building out our robust internship program. And that's really for accessibility for our students. We're excited about that piece. And then maintaining and strengthening our partnerships. We have a lot of partnerships out there, but there's never enough. We know that. And some are closing, some are opening. We want to make sure that we really take the time to address the well-being of our most marginalized students with these services. And it really ensures inclusive, equitable support, and it really drives systemic change. And that's what we're looking for with our program. Oh,
thank you.
Oh, one more. Sorry. I can keep going all night. Sorry, Greg. As I mentioned earlier, this vital work would not be possible without the efforts of our amazing mental health team, our superstar school counselors, our phenomenal teachers and district and site administrators, our fabulous classified staff, and each of you are esteemed board members. So thank you very much. And lastly, I was talking to Dr. Holly Wade right before this, and she said, speak from the heart. And I thought about that for a second, and I said, but I'm going to be so nervous. I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. So I wrote it down, but this is from my heart. And I really wanted to share this before I leave. It is challenging to leave behind the emotional weight of this work every day, especially when we know the reality behind these stories.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to extend a heartfelt appreciation to our team, and that's all of our team, for their unwavering commitment, their dedication, and invaluable contributions to our students, our families, our communities, and to this report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say,
Oh.
no. We're going to open it up to questions and,
Okay.
and the like. But I just want to say, April, I love the fact that we've done this for 6 years. That is amazing.
7.
And 7 now. Yeah.
7.
Oops. I'm off. But 7 years, and it's evolving and it's sustainable, and it's just getting bigger and more important, and you're doing some great work. So just knowing it for the time that I've been on this board, it's just amazing to see this report on and where we are. So just
Great.
thank you. I'm going to open it up to the board. If there's any questions, thoughts, comments, please, this is your time.
And we have Melina and Adriana on too, so they can.
Yes. And I want to say thank you to both of you for your presentations. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You are awesome. Okay. So anyone?
I
No
have
one?
something if
Okay.
I can
Yeah,
wait
go
though.
ahead. Leah, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of the work that all of you do.
Mhm.
We are very fortunate in this district to have such a strong program and such amazing people. Last year, my brother and my sister-in-law had a really tough time. My nephew died by suicide. He was almost 17, and they don't have something this strong where he lives. If he had something like this, it would have made a huge difference in his life. And so I'm really I'm grateful for the slides that Melina had talked about with the student perspective, because that is why this is all so important. So just thank you so much. I've been able to meet so many of the staff, and and you too, April. I when that happened, I didn't know what to do, and you had such great resources, and I'm just really grateful. And I know in our district we've had some situations that are similar, and so my heart goes out to families. You're right, we don't know, like, we know what's happening right in people's homes, and it's hard to remove yourself, to want to get to just not carry that weight, and because you love people so much. And so that is what I admire so much about all of you, is your heart. So thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for that vulnerability. I remember our conversation that day. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Bob?
I want to thank you for the presentation. I have one teeny tiny question or request for the next report, because I was trying to keep notes. We were talking about on the slide about the prevalence, and you were talking about the statistics. I couldn't keep up, and I'm kind of a visual guy. And my question was kind of like, was anybody doing well? Because it seems like we're all suffering. I mean, but I couldn't track there. But there, and it was the soft side presentation in terms of the needs and our responses. A few figures and facts, particularly some baseline things would help give us some context to the future. It's really good work, and the rest of society needs us just as much as we do, because we see people suffering, having major events every day, and it's not just them that they're impacting,
Right.
And I just, would hope that, we as a collective nation, or as the world, could get together and support people. I was curious, and my other question has to do with emotional support animals. And, they didn't exist. And my daughter's got one that Kaiser approved. They didn't exist previously, and now you see them everywhere. I'm sure they were out there. We just didn't know that we needed our animals to help us get through trauma. Here, it sounds like we bring in dogs or animals and the people bond with them. So it's not like we have regular, that they have their own emotional support animals. Is that just as effective, or are there multiple ways to do that to comfort people?
I think, well, I know there's multiple ways to do that, where we kind of just scratch the surface right now. I mean, I would love probably not to take my dog, but if maybe he was trained. But I know there are some really cute dogs. I know we have one back here that brings her dog, and it's just great. I love it in the summer. So Rookie has standing appointments at 3 of our school sites for San Mateo. And we have some services that we use, and we want to use them even more frequently. Like maybe they're there every Friday or every Monday, so we're working on that with some of the programs that we're using. And it's been dogs so far. I think one turtle. One turtle.
Is Rookie is it the black lab? I'm trying to say it's a black lab.
No, he's a labradoodle, right?
From the San Mateo police?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I should have brought him.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen him or her in action.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that it was a labradoodle, because I've had labs and they just look like a lab to me. But anyway, I apologize to all the labradoodles of the world. So
yeah, he's quite the character. Yeah.
And then just the third question, the slide where there's a core of people who disagreed that the services were not right. Is that the core of people that's the hardcore that really needs service? Or is that just people that are contrary? On the slide that says agree, disagree, and there was 90% of people agreed with the satisfaction and, knowing where the resources are and stuff. So that 4, 5, 6, whatever percent, those are the hardcore. Have we identified ways to get to them, to get them over to where they're, we can get to them?
So it is, the survey is anonymous for our senior checkout survey, but we have an array of questions, right? So we look through them. Okay, if they're not satisfied, why are they not satisfied? And usually teens like to tell us why they're not satisfied. So we look at that and we say, okay, what can we do differently? So, or what can we do more of, or whatever it is that they're asking for. So we take those just as seriously as the ones that say, you're great, thank you. Yep.
What were some of the top ones of why people were unsatisfied?
So one of them was they wanted the school and wellness counselors to keep everything confidential, which there are times we cannot for safety reasons and legalities. But there were a few people that felt we needed to keep that confidential. And so we really try to stress that we are friendly. We're not friends, but we are definitely friendly, and we're mentors, and we want to support. So that was one of the biggest ones. And I think the other one was they haven't used the service, so they're not sure. And then lastly, they felt that there was no accessibility. And I've talked to a couple students, and I know all of our staff has, and that's kind of twofold. One is they want it when they want it, they need it when they need it. And if a door is closed, then it's never available. But it feels like that, right? Because you're in that space of vulnerability, and you need support. I completely understand that. And then others had said, we just need more. Yeah.
Okay.
Great question. Thank you.
Terry,
Oh.
you go ahead.
I wanted to say thank you for the presentation. Thank you to everybody who spoke, the staff. I want to comment how wonderful our staff is. And I looked back at my notes because I remember something from a few months ago. So it actually was a few months ago in February. County Supervisor David Canepa had a coffee chat. And he goes around. I mean, all the supervisors pretty much go around to different cities and have chats because they're the supervisor of our San Mateo County. And this monthly coffee chat that he had in February was about mental health awareness throughout our county. And I remember two folks from our district. One was from Aragon and one was from Burlingame. And they were counselors from our own group participating in the community, making sure that folks know parents were there. And it was a well-attended event. About 50 folks were there. And I just feel like we have such a great camaraderie around this area, and knowing that I mean, I just feel like the services have really increased, the need is there, and coming out of COVID, where students, I know my own daughter was affected and her friends were as well, where all of us were, right? We're stuck at home 24/7 for like at least a year. And so coming out of that, having all those services available. And I know that I looked at the what's it called? I'm tongue twisted here. Greg, help me out. I looked at the wellness center at Cappuccino because that's where my daughter attends. And I also attend the school site council meetings every month. And so they showed me the room and I just hope that every school site has the opportunity to have a wellness center and that all the students feel comfortable to go to that anytime they need. I think they have like a pass where you can go there 10, 15 minutes. If you need to go there, just go right there and get the support you need. And hopefully it's open the entire school day, hopefully. But I thank you so much for the presentation.
You're
and we have such
welcome.
wonderful staff.
Yes,
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you for that. Thank you, everybody.
Melina, Adriana, and April, thank you so much for the
Thank you.
presentation. It was very
Thank you.
informative. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Adriana and Melina. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Second semester accomplishments.
Thank you. I'm going to grab the clicker.
Grab the clicker.
No.
Yeah. All right, like we did back in January, we did a first semester highlights. This is our second semester spotlight on student learning highlights. I want to direct everyone to the board memo. It's a really long memo. It's 17 pages, and I want to thank all of the district staff, site staff that contributed to, indicating a lot of the highlights. So we tried our best to condense that down into a little bit of a presentation. Just really quickly, I am not going to read everything on the screen as they come through. It's too long. This presentation will be posted so the community can absorb it. But I'll just grab a couple of bullets from each slide. Give me something. There we go. Okay. But like I said, I really want to push people to take a look at the board memo because there's just so much. Big thanks to everyone in our curriculum instruction department. This is a big focus of mine, a big focus of ours, because this is what we're here to do, which is the teaching and learning of our students. Facilitated learning walks, our expanded support of multilingual learners, and so on and so forth. It's been really important for me to learn, where we are in our curriculum instructional practices and where we need to grow. I'm really thankful for Dr. Kemke and her team, her leadership team, for instituting the learning walks, and more to come in future years, especially next fall. So continuing on with Career Expo, that was awesome. That was my first time to go. Really had a great time. We've got courses of study, not just U.S. history, but we got some tonight as well. In the areas of HR, big thanks to Dr. Black in leading that team. We settled negotiations with CSEA. Something's happening on the screen. There we go. I know we're working hard with DTA. We've done a lot of professional development, exit interviews. We'll be getting that information to the board as well. District governance and operations, as we all know, we'll do some of our final chapters tonight. We're doing a public book study. We've done board governance workshops, study sessions, our emergency supply coordination team, and so on and so forth. District governance and operations is on every single agenda, as well it should be, because we have to stay nimble and continue to grow. In the area of communications, we've had a huge growth in this area this year. With our videos and our first ever multilingual communications specialist. all of the proclamations where we've had support. Yes, Trustee Griffin, I do not write them all on my own. We'd have a team. Often this year for the first time with students involved in writing our proclamations, which is important to me. Continuing on, Spanish Facebook page. We have a lot of social media highlights. That's going to continue to grow. We're going to be redeveloping our website. Next year, as you all know, we're going to be jumping into a logo and branding redesign to really fit the identity of San Mateo Union High School District. Mental health and wellness, as you already heard, Kent Award winners. We offer workshops, Tupe, and it goes on and on. I'm not going to read too much there. We just got a huge presentation, but our student health, I know during COVID, this was a huge department and we relied so heavily, and we continue to do so. Even though COVID is not the focus, we still have the Stanford Teen Van Mobile Health Clinic and our Narcan program as well. Employee wellness, I've never, in all the districts I've been a part of, I've never seen employee wellness like we have it here. I think it's something with which to be so proud that we really pay attention and want to support the whole employee. And you can look at some of the programs there, and it just continues to grow. Our EL and academic support programs, this will be a big focus of mine coming into the fall. There's part of our instructional leadership program that we're promoting tonight that supports our EL and academic support programs. When the board has said to me that they would like to see disruption, especially some real movement on the needle of our predictable student outcomes that are negative, I really see our EL and academic support programs being able to do some wonderful things, and they are. And you'll see later on in our agenda, there's a board memo that has a lot of information there. But this is a program, our EL and academic support needs. This is a program that is growing exponentially, meaning the student need is growing exponentially, and we need to be nimble and respond to it. Special education support services, same thing. Our special education programs continue to grow based on student need. And we've got support community advisory committees and our Bay Quest program and Bay University and all of those amazing programs. Dr. Wade has done and her whole team a phenomenal job. Now we jump into our school sites. Aragon High School, and I'm just going to go through them fast here because you can all read. Just amazing work at Aragon High School. I had the opportunity to meet and speak with their PTSO. Burlingame High School, I want to commend Dr. Fong, first-year principal, and her team. They have done so much to address the culture and community, and really, she didn't wait a second. She just jumped in and built, and I really commend her for that. And it'll be fun to watch she and Trustee Land collaborate moving forward as principal of one of our partner schools. Cappuccino High School, same thing. Jose Gomez, first year principal, jumped into it like Dr. Fong, just went for it, right? There wasn't a slowdown, lots to learn, lots to implement, and working closely with him. I just want to big thanks. Hillsdale High School, I got to attend their graduation, an amazing heartfelt graduation. Their Empowerment Through Action program, their Peace Pantry, all the things that they do, really, really an amazing school. Mills High School, same. We opened the Mills Athletic Complex, which was fantastic. Their GSA student-led Queer Stories Assembly, their Latina Mentor program, and the list goes on and on. Again, remember, this presentation is just grabbing a couple of things out of that 17-page memo. Peninsula High School, I've been working a lot, meeting every month with Peninsula High School staff. Just that third bullet is one of the things I really liked seeing. It's over 65% of their students field trips designated around career exploration. And Principal Campana and I talked a lot about, attendance and trying to get students to come to school. And one of the things that we found students will come to school to do are those kinds of activities. And so we'll see more of that moving forward. San Mateo High School, right next door to us here. Just a big year. We celebrated their anniversary celebration, a massive peer tutoring program. One of their 12th graders was named one of only 300 Regeneron Science Talent Search Scholars. That's a huge award with which we should be really proud. Our Bridge program, and you'll see later on tonight, this is a program that is expanding, and we need to expand to meet the needs. 13 of our 16 graduates completed applications to CSM. That is a huge deal, something we should absolutely celebrate. Served 78 students, but we had more than 85, and it's continuing to grow. It will be bigger next year is our guess. Middle college, I got to attend that graduation as well. Beautiful, super windy. Thought we were going to get blown away that day. And they're going to be at capacity again. They have a huge wait list, and again, more real world attending tours of UC Davis and other programs. San Mateo Adult and Career Education Program, they hosted an annual conference in Oakland. That was a great opportunity for us to highlight the work that we're doing in our leadership. We completed its WASC with a 6-year accreditation, and so on and so forth. Oh, those programs, dispensing opticians and clinical medical assistant program, we're seeing those programs grow as well, which is really great for our community. Student services through Don Scatana's office, enrolled over 2,200 new families, transferred over 550 families, does all the trainings for counselors and admin, and so on and so forth. Really phenomenal program. That's one of those programs that you don't want to hear about, right? That when you hear, it means something's gone wrong. And so we don't hear about it too often because they do things so well. Really great team there next door to us here. Technology, same thing. Another one of those programs that you don't want to hear about it, because if you hear about it, it means something's gone wrong. They've done a great job. Our team just in the back here tonight, they're magnificent. But all of the work they've done and partnering with San Diego County Office for phishing and spam awareness and all of that, just really great work with Simon and his team. Business and operations, this is Yancey's team. We've got partners here in the back of the room, which I'm really thankful for. All of our strong financial position. We're going to talk tonight, part of the governance core, how big of a deal that is for you as trustees to have oversight over our finances. But we are in a strong financial position. It allows us that opportunity to really jump into negotiations in a strong position. Our Measure L programs and facilities, just all the way across the district, such an immense amount of work. I want to thank Jose, Yancey, Linda, everyone involved there. Transportation. Oh, we have a huge transportation department, and that team is phenomenal. I love going over there. They always get me underneath a bus, and it's crazy, and so up on the lift, and they're great. They're a lot of fun. They're a really tight community over there, and just so welcoming. You walk in there and you just feel good as an educator, and I really want to just take a second to thank them. Same with maintenance, operations, and facilities. You go over there to Hinckley and you are welcomed, you're invited. And they do great work across this entire district. And it's again where I thanked publicly during graduations, jumping onto campuses. Our campuses were pristine, but what I want to say is that they were pristine not just for graduation, right? They are pristine campuses across this district, and our maintenance, operations, and facilities team do a great job keeping it that way. School nutrition, Dennis has done and his team amazing work. 1.4 million meals. That is a huge statistic, and that is obviously it's feeding kids, right? But it's helping prepare kids to learn, because if kids are hungry, they are not learning. I don't care how great your subject area is. If you're hungry, you're not learning. So I really appreciate the work that they're doing. And this last, bullet point, I asked that it be placed there because when we had a massive power outage, during the winter storms, Millbrae School District contacted us, and they had pallets full of food that was going to go bad because their kitchens lost power. And we jumped over there and stored their food for them and supported them. And I know they do the same for us as part of our partner districts, but that was a real collaborative effort. And, we just all jumped up and went after it. So big thanks. So stay connected with us. A lot accomplished this year. So proud of all of our teams. We couldn't do this without people, right? We are in the people business, and I just want to say thanks. So that's about as quick as I could do it.
Did very good.
Okay.
Yeah, I just really appreciate you highlighting all of this because I think, we hear about good things all the time, but I was like, wow, really blown away by how amazing our district is and everything we do. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I was just gonna echo that, what Trustee Zuniga said, that excellent presentation, and every page is important, and highlighting what staff has done this year. I know it's only the second half of the year, but it echoes what everything that's been done in the entire school year, and we just have such an amazing staff. Thank you for the presentation.
I just want to say, I know you went fast, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Because it was comprehensive of just not only these sites, the departments, and really highlighting the things. And there was quite a lot of things that we've done, and that's good to know.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
an amazing
appreciate it.
district.
Yep.
Amazing
I would
district.
totally agree with that. Okay. Bob, you good? All right, let's move on. Okay, we are now. Yeah, I like that. Okay, speaking of saving time, we're going to move into the governance core. And we're done. No, I'm just kidding. The budget's important. Okay, now what? No,
that's right. Okay, just really quickly, we looked at, I'm going to move forward. We're doing, as the public knows, we're doing a public book study. This is a book called The Governance Core. There's a memo attached. You can take a look. We're up through chapters 7 and 8 now. And this is really, now this part is about you specifically. This is the job of governing. What is the job of governing? And I think the public doesn't necessarily know what that job is. What do you do? Yes, you do board meetings and things like that. But it is about systems thinking and strategic action. I like those two phrases because to me, that sums up your job. Systems thinking, strategic action. One can't happen without the other. And I quote a lot of what I've written here is quoted from the book, but how the board carries out its responsibilities, this typo, is the ultimate test of the quality of its governance work. It is the ultimate test. It's how you carry out what you are charged to do. And this chapter talks about that charge. Governance responsibilities of the board, and they list 4 primary responsibilities: establishing strategic directions, providing ongoing policy direction and approval, stewardship and support, oversight and accountability, and community leadership. And there's kind of a flow chart that they add here that you're always, it's continuous improvement. You're always going around the circle, but there's community leadership throughout. So your job is, yes, to that strategic direction and ongoing policy development, but it is, you are community leaders. And so it's not just about passing policy, it's understanding your community and speaking for your community, leading them. Of all the board's governance responsibilities, the most important and powerful is formally setting the strategic direction for the school district. And I think this board, as a new superintendent coming in this year, I had great legs to stand on based on your strategic thinking, your strategic direction. I didn't have to search around for it. I didn't have to search around for what the culture is and what's important. That was very clear from the moment I interviewed into many of our closed sessions around superintendent evaluation and goal setting and all of that. Very, very clear. Setting strategic direction, those strategic actions. We talked earlier about the development and adoption of a moral imperative, priorities and strategic goals and success indicators. These are all developed in concert, myself, staff, teachers, parents, community. Setting direction is not a single event. So it's not something we say what it is and we put it on a shelf. It's ongoing. It's something we talk about all the time, both formally and informally, because that direction, outside factors can push us all around, can bring up new ideas. And so the superintendent and board together, always collaboratively, are almost always adjusting as they move toward achieving the moral imperative. So we have to adjust as the community adjusts, as the times adjust, as needs present themselves. So it's not just a straight line. Yes, we have a goal in mind, but sometimes we got to bob and weave and we have to turn and twist to get there based on the needs of our students and the needs of our community. And there are always challenges. A board's ability to chart direction for the future depends both on maintaining what is working and addressing new challenges. A positive governance driver is an engaged board, not simply an informed board. And this is something I recognize about this board. You are an engaged board. You ask questions, you write me, you call me, we talk every week. You're engaged. You're not just asking for information and then silence. We have a back and forth, which is so, so important. Another quote, the board's ongoing strategic policy direction can be clustered into two main areas. The board's fiduciary responsibility, as I talked about earlier, and adopting program plans and frameworks. And later on this evening, we're going to talk about your fiduciary responsibility in your role of approving a budget. But the school board is responsible for the financial health of the district. That's very true. You're accountable to both the state, but also the community for fiscal solvency. The district's budget is in reality a policy document equal to, if not more important than the district's strategic plan. In other words, the budget is a reflection of your priorities. That's really what it is. If it's not in the budget, it's not happening. That's a quote from the book. If it's not in the budget, it's not happening. The board's responsibility is to approve budget priorities, adopt a budget, track implementation plans, to give us an opportunity to keep the district focused on that strategic agenda. Part two of your job is adopting program plans and frameworks. And we do this all the time, right? This is every single board meeting. There's human resource frameworks. What do I mean by frameworks? Structures, systems, policies, culture, all of those kinds of things. We come to you every meeting with these. Collective bargaining agreements, facilities plans, curriculum framework, and instructional programs. This is what the public is more used to, I think, seeing, but that fiduciary responsibility is a big one too, obviously. The board's stewardship responsibility is to create and support a positive organizational culture in the district. This idea of board stewardship, meaning you steward the district, you are in charge of the district. And part of that is supporting and creating a positive organizational culture. I'll be honest, this isn't just sunshine. I felt that coming into this district new. I walked into a positive culture in this district. Yes, do we have our bumps and bruises? Every school district does. Every organization does. There's no such thing. You're not pushing the envelope for our students if there's not bumps and bruises a little bit along the way. But your job is to create and support that positive organizational culture. As they list some examples of that, right? Act with professional demeanor, make decisions and provide resources that support your priorities and goals, stand by your decisions, uphold your policies, ensure positive personnel climate exists, celebrate your progress, right? While identifying lack of progress, do both. Culture, you're in charge of the culture. Ultimately, if the board culture is bad, so goes the district. That's how it works. So when you see districts out there where the culture is bad, you can usually start with the board. And it's not pointing a finger. I've just seen it across the nation. When I go to conferences, both in California and in nationwide conferences, we talk about this all the time. The actions of the board, explicit and implicit, communicate to the staff and community our values. Not just our words, but your actions, how you vote, how you hold yourself, how you communicate with one another. And then the questions they ask, does the board support a culture that encourages new ideas and forward-looking programs? Or is this a district that is committed to defending the status quo and resistant to change? I don't think we're the latter. I think we're the former. And that was really easy for me to see. And it was one of the reasons why I wanted to come serve in this district. Okay, chapter 8, this is a lot quicker here. Thoughtful, purposeful governance. What are your tools to do all that? To do your job, what are your tools? And those are the devices, the things that you can use to get the job done, right? And so it talks about a deep commitment. You know, part of what a good governance team is, you have a deep commitment to your community. You recognize and value one another's perspective. You believe in me and value a commitment for data and transparency back and forth, and a deep appreciation for working collaboratively. So what are those tools? And we do almost all of them. And you've done some of these in the past. So it's not as if you've never done them. But discussion meetings, handbooks, self-evaluation, continuing education. So discussion meetings, formal notice meetings, usually with me and some of the members of the team. We've done some of these this year. General governance issues like we're doing right now, this part of the agenda, reviewing or writing protocols, checking how meetings are going, And it's the opportunity for me or my staff to share strategic ideas with you. This goes back to like the instructional leadership plan, and those part 2 is coming this evening, those kinds of things. Governance handbooks. I know this has been done in the past. This is something I'd like to work toward in the future and redeveloping, especially that we have 2 new trustees on the board, developing a governance handbook that outlines these things, roles and responsibilities, a description of our culture, because this helps future boards when they come in. It's not something that just has to be absorbed, but it's something that they can read and review and reflect on. Self-evaluations. I know the board will be going through that with Angelina Pride soon enough. And this is one of the things I really liked in the book is the message, which is a self-evaluation. The message you're sending through this self-evaluation is that the board is not above accountability. You're going to call yourselves out. You're going to be open and transparent about where you need to grow as a board. We all need to grow. It's that continuous improvement model. And then lastly is continuing board education, which you all do. Professional conferences, workshops, professional organizations, professional literature, asking questions. You are all really good at asking questions. You're all very much a learner, and it's something I really appreciate. And so we're going to hit chapter 9, the last chapter on June 22nd, and off we go. That's the last one. So,
all right. Anyone want to start? Go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of read chapter 9, took some notes because it's only 6 pages. I thought that was part of our thing tonight too. So thank you for that, Superintendent Booker. I thought that was a great summary there. I think when I wrote down a couple of notes here, one was listen to diverse perspectives. I think that we all do that, but I think it's a good reminder. I know we've had a couple of I'll just say crunchy topics. That's Mr. Booker's words, crunchy topics in the last 6 months. And listening to diverse perspectives from the community and from one another. I think we're learning how to do that well. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was 2 other things. One thing was mentioning about the governance handbooks. I know I mentioned that last time we talked about the book because the district I was part of before had a governance handbook, and then I asked Trustee Lynn if the district he came from before had a governance handbook. So it is, I think it's a good, it could be a good tool, but to your point, which you mentioned before, which I totally agree with, it works best when all 5 board members are agreeing to that. And we signed ours, but like you said, not everybody signed it, but I think that's, maybe all boards don't have a governance handbook, but this book talks about the importance of that. And the other thing I wanted to mention was reading throughout here, I don't know if it was chapter 8, talking about how we are there to listen to the public and educate the public. And so I think it was last weekend I was at a graduation gathering for somebody from college, but a neighbor came over and they were talking about our school district, and they mentioned something about having some concerns. And so I know everybody at this table, all my colleagues here would absolutely engage in a conversation with the community member about our school district. So I really feel proud of our work here and that we are engaged in the community. And when I asked questions about this person's concern, it turned out to be something from 7 years ago. So just listening to it, I think, is important. And then hearing their concerns, even though it was a long time ago, then they felt, they were listened to, and they could see that that's not the current concern. That's not something that's still continuing on. That's something from 7 years ago. So I just want to mention that it is super important. We are ambassadors for our district to the community, but I have no doubt that any of my colleagues here would absolutely listen to community members' concerns. And I feel very proud that all of us are engaged in our community. So those are my initial thoughts.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else? I'll go. You want to go?
Yeah, no, the one thing that I had always thought about, and the book reinforced it, was put your money where your mouth is, which
You
is,
took my line.
well, yeah, but I mean, unfortunately,
Perfect.
that was
Yep.
everything, every place I worked. That was pretty much the mantra, because you got to have your budget aligned with your goals.
Yeah. And your
It was-
values.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I totally agree with that. I think, we've really been pushing on equity, and we've really been pushing on, achievement. And I think if we don't put our money in those areas, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. And so that's how you prove, putting your money where your mouth is.
Mhm.
So, I mean, love the quote. You're absolutely 100% right. For me, the the one thing that I noticed, and I think it's hard sometimes because oversight and accountability can turn into micromanagement. But when you really look at it, oversight is just making sure that we're doing the right thing and it's aligned to what we want. Accountability is asking the right questions. I mean, and that's sometimes hard, and sometimes it's a conversation, and it's not easy. I think those are sometimes the things that are overlooked sometimes because as a board member, we want to ask the questions, especially up here, scrutinizing the budget and going, hey, why is it this way? And why can't we do this? And, I think we're very good at that. And over the last few years, I think that's something that I really have appreciated. All the other stuff we've been talking about, I think really we are in aligned. I mean, like Randall, what you're saying is exactly right. The operations of the board, we do quite well. And there's elements that we do and we're doing it. And crunchy or not crunchy, it happens. And so, and I think we continue to be, I just think one of our jobs that is that oversight, not just to be an informed board, but be an engaged board where it's like, are we doing it right? Are we sure about this? Are we not sure about this? And that sometimes it gets controversial because it's like you're questioning. But that's not to say that we don't appreciate all the good things that are happening too. Because I mean, 90% of what we're hearing, like we just heard with our update, look at all the good things that are happening. They're amazing. And sometimes, we want to remember that, hey, there's the good stuff. And then there's the, hey, what about, and why not? And can we change that? And I don't, that sort of thing. So it's kind of the only thing I had to say about this today.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
You made me think about how we question things, but I think that all of us seem to be asking questions to gain understanding, insight, understanding from staff and from the district leaders. I don't think our questioning is because of mistrust. So I think that it comes from a good place. And to your point, asking questions, it is good, especially when we're asking to learn and asking to gain understanding.
I always think it's I think it's kind of fine tuning.
Yeah.
I look at it as fine tuning. It's like, okay, I see you're over here. Well, can we turn it a few notches this way? Because I hear what you're saying, but maybe we can do this a little bit. It's just, so I don't look at it as like blowing out
Yes.
I think it's just more of like, wait a minute, can we argue about this degree versus this degree?
But I really appreciate talking about the budget, and your budget will reflect what your values are. And you were President Land, you were talking about our dedication to equity and to change in that sense. And so people, will question why we're spending money on certain things, but that's where our values are. We had made it a promise to the community that this is what we were going to do, and that's why we're doing it. There was a quote in chapter 7. It said, "Your future success of the superintendent of schools will depend on how well you can adapt to social change. The worth of the educational process of the children you will serve will in large part be dictated by the way in which you and your board can change your system to meet the demands that society will place on your students." And that really made me think, because all the things that we do, all of the decisions we've made in the past year, really made me think about that, with the U.S. history curriculum, with ethnic studies, with just the budget, with a lot of different things. I think we are equipped and we are teaching our students how to go into the world and become good people.
Well said. So Terry, don't get mad at me, and Randall, don't get mad at me, but I'm going to just be educational here. So as an educator of many years, the one thing I hate is binders and handbooks. Got some educators to chuckle. That's what I wanted. We have been so used to, over many, many years, of getting a binder and putting it on the shelf and saying, okay, we got a handbook. Okay, there it is. So I'm not, but by the same token, having an agreement, having an understanding, having a living document is important. And and I'm going to say, 2 people in this room have really convinced me about a living document. LCAP becomes so much more valuable thanks to Dr. Kemke and thanks to Brian Simmons, because you've made it an alive document. It is about really important goals, and I really understand it. Up to this point, I've seen them as things on a piece of paper that we have to do because we have to apply to the state and give it to the state. In this district, it's a living document that changes, that evolves, that has real authentic language, that with goals that are very important and robust. And so kudos to both of you. So yes, I can change my mind is what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, I mentioned that it was, that's really nice. Thank you for saying that. I want to mention it wasn't, I say the term that, well, they actually refer to it here as a handbook, but ours was 3 or 4 pages. And it also included, the first page, of course, obviously included the mission statement and the goals.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a book and it wasn't in a binder. It was 3 or 4 pages, and it was reviewed every annually, maybe every January, every other year. So it was a living document. But to your point, that's really important, because if it's not a living document, it just sits somewhere.
Yeah.
It's going to do nothing.
I know. I was just
agree with you.
I was just getting
Yeah,
the education.
definitely not a binder
chuckle
and
about
not
a
really a
binder
book.
thing.
Yeah.
'Cause we all know about it, right?
Yep.
Anyway. All right. Well, I think that was a very important discussion. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. We are doing back on track. Okay. This is good. All right. We are now moving to construction. So I'm going to please hand it over to Yancy. Yancy.
I believe we have Michael Estrada from Greystone West that will be coming in.
Okay. Is this for the switchgear replacement?
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
There we go.
All right, President Land. Last year, the board approved adding the switchgear replacement at Mills High School. That switchgear is very old. It's original with the school. And we're using this project as an opportunity to upgrade that switchgear, the transite panel project. So with that, I will turn it over to Michael Estrada from Greystone West.
Okay. Michael.
Are there any questions related to that project?
No.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Quick question.
How come there appeared to be one responsive bidder, one that attempted and didn't make it? How come there weren't that many people interested in the project? You have any idea?
There was a pretty short return period from stamp out for the project and getting it in time to make sure we got construction on schedule for next summer. So a little bit of pressure there. Also an incredibly busy market at the time of bid. But we did receive one very competitive bid within budget, obviously.
I'm glad the bid that was late, and I'm glad the bid that we were accepting was the one that got in on time. So
Absolutely.
I'll move adoption.
All right. There's a motion to adopt. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made by Trustee Griffin, seconded by Trustee Andrade Zuniga. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carried. The award is done. So next.
Thank you. As most of the board members were here, and Terry, I know, knows all about it as well. The district board approved a couple years ago to add an expansion of the district solar program to the Measure L project list. We're really excited after going out a couple of times to bring the contract with NG to move forward for the summer of 2024. To come as well will be a contract for the electric charging that will be a partner project with this alongside. So,
okay. Any questions? Motion?
I have a question.
Question.
So at one point, when we were doing a lot of these solar projects, the panels, I think, were coming from China. Are they, am I recalling that correctly? And where are they being sourced from? Do you know?
I do not know at this time.
we don't have final. So this project is subject to the 30% credit that was passed as part of the climate bill and Inflation Reduction Act, I believe was the what they noted, but it was heavy on climate. As part of that, we are hopeful that we will actually meet a 40% credit due to the Buy American Act. We're waiting to see exactly. They haven't put out the final guidance on what Buy American means. And so does it have to be assembled here? Does it have to be completely constructed here, et cetera? So, but as we move forward, we'll find out where those are going to be sourced. But back 10 years ago, a large portion were being produced in China as well as the Philippines.
You know, I gave up on understanding that analysis because the experts had put, you know, the one that was the attachment and the efficiency and the tiering and the tax credit. I was just like, you know, they must know what they're doing. I can't figure it out.
I know exactly what you're saying.
So we were on 3 phone calls with our attorneys as we went through this agreement to ensure all that. And they are guaranteeing the 30%. They are saying that they hope to meet if the Buy American is based on some of the other U.S. government Buy American, then they believe they will make the 40%. But as that guidance is out, they cannot guarantee that.
Okay. A motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion made by trustee Chavez, seconded by trustee Griffin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 4-0. Thank you. Last one.
The last one is regarding the tennis court replacement project as part of the new auxiliary gym project at San Mateo High School. When this project was approved earlier this year, it was a little bit over budget. We noted at that time that we expected that we likely would need to come back for a budget augmentation, but we were going to go through the value engineering process. We were able to come through and come up with some additional savings of that project. Unfortunately, there were some unforeseen conditions under the soil that actually ate up most of those savings. And so, as noted, I believe in January, that it was about $200,000 above our initial estimates. So at this time, we will come back and ask for an augmentation to that budget.
Questions?
Which contingency is that? Is
Where's
that
it
the
coming out of?
topside contingency or which?
Yeah, it's within the top side. We have not gone into our program contingency. This is coming from the approximately $8.8 million of savings that we have to date in the program of schematic design budgets to the initial budgets that the board approved in December of 2020.
I'll move adoption.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion made by trustee Griffin, second by trustee Andrade Zuniga. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 4-0. Next, we're going to move on to Division of Human Services Personnel Consent Agenda. So Dr. Black.
No, thank you. Yes, we have the 7 items on the consent agenda. Are there any questions?
I asked you a lot of questions today, so I'm good. So I make motion to
I
approve.
was going to say, what a good
Make a motion
idea.
to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by trustee Chavez,
Second.
seconded by trustee Andrade Zuniga. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda is passed for personnel. Division of Human Services, again. Dr.
Yes,
Black.
first item is the personnel actions addendum. We have 2 recognitions. One, Andrea Booth, the counselor at San Mateo High School, submitted her resignation effective June 13th. She's been with the district for 15 years. She's going to go work at DTEC.
Okay.
Lori Watkins also, she submitted her retirement effective September 1st, and she's been with the district as an instructional assistant 2 and other roles for 28 years and 10 months. Then there was 2 administrator appointments, and they will be here on the 27th to introduce themselves.
I was going to ask about that. I'm glad you said that.
Because there'll be probably a third one.
Greg Childress mentioned them, and
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, why aren't they coming here? But thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll move for approval.
Okay, motion for the addendum approval
I'll second that.
by trustee Andrade Zuniga, seconded by trustee Chavez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried for the addendum. Okay, classified reclassification.
Yes, each year, the district and the CSEA forms a reclassification committee to review job descriptions and salaries for groups of positions that are on a 5-year rotation. This year, clerical non-accounting positions were examined. The reclassification process, it includes job description analysis, revisions to them if needed, followed by a comparison of both the job duties and compensation with similar positions in neighboring districts. So following this very detailed work that took the best part of the year, the reclassification committee recommends 5 positions for new ranges and revised job descriptions. Those are athletic trainer, career coordinator, library media technician specialist, senior administrative assistant to the assistant superintendent of instruction, and the special education data technician. The total cost for these reclassifications, if approved tonight, would be annually approximately $175,000.
Got it. Any questions?
I'll move
Motion.
to approve.
Okay, motion by trustee Andrade Zuniga,
I'll second.
seconded by trustee Chavez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the reclassification is done.
Okay, the next one is the confidential reclassification. The confidential, first of all, this is a 2-part recommendation. The confidential reclassification involves 9 confidential positions, and unlike the classified reclassification process, the confidential process happens on average every 4 to 6 years. So apart from that time span, the additional rationale for the confidential reclassification includes the substantial changes and increases to the scope of their positions over the past 5 years. This includes the responsibilities of tailoring to supporting the greater number of district employees overall, the increases in the number of individual positions in the district, the complexity of recruiting and hiring for diversity and ensuring an unbiased selection procedure, the significant increase in complaints based on Title IX, discrimination, retaliation, and others, and the ever-increasing requirements for the maintenance of CalPERS and CalSTRS and the expansion of benefit oversight, among other things. So the recommendation this year is to reclassify 6 confidential positions: the credential analyst, benefits coordinator, executive coordinator, human resources generalist, administrative assistant 3 to the superintendent, and administrative assistant 1 to the principal. The annual cost of these, if approved, would be $127,000 on an annual basis. The second part of this recommendation is to revise the confidential salary schedule. The current salary schedule includes 5 added workdays for all new confidential employees. You may remember we passed this maybe 6 or 7 years ago. The number of these added workdays are, they start off with 5 and then decrease by 1 for each of the first 5 years until they come to 221, like all the other 12-month employees. The reason these additional workdays were added several years ago was that the longevity programs for the confidential and classified were different. They were much better than for the confidential employees. In this way, we attempted to kind of balance that. But starting with the 23-24 school year, the longevity programs for both classified and confidentials will be the same. And therefore, we feel that this nullifies the needs for those extra work days for our new confidential employees. So this recommendation is for both removing that from the salary schedule and reclassifying those 6 positions.
Do you want it as one motion or 2?
It's in the same item.
Same item.
One motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay. What motion made by trustee Chavez? Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by trustee Andrade Zuniga. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried both parts. Okay, moving on.
Item 4, this is the tentative agreement with the CSEA. As you heard from Robin earlier today, there are some challenges and there were some delays and whatnot with getting the process into the ratification, the CSEA ratification process. So this approval tonight would be contingent on the ratification process of the CSEA. But this is an agreement for the successor contract of 2022 to 2025. This was a long process. We met over the year, we met 15 times. 13 of the 24 articles in the contract were revised, and it's contained in the attachment. I can share that some of the highlights include pregnancy leave was increased to 6 weeks of paid leave. Classified athletic coaches will be paid the same rate, will be paid at the teacher rates, and so they'll be the same. Vacation carryover has been streamlined. Classified will receive 100% reimbursement for career growth courses, workshops, and approved trainings. Some safety measures and reporting procedures were updated and refined, and we agreed to a pilot bidding program for our bus driver for weekend and after-hour routes, among many other things in those 13 articles.
Mhm. Anyone want to approve the tentative agreement?
I'll approve.
Okay, motion made by trustee Andrade Zuniga. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by trustee Griffin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The tentative agreement is approved by the board.
Okay,
Contingent on,
the ratification. of the
Ratification,
CSEA, yeah,
right.
which may or may not be the.
Right.
the
okay,
summer. Yeah,
so it's
okay.
tentative.
Can I just jump in
Yep.
really quickly, President Land? I just want to extend big thanks to Robin, her negotiating team, Dr. Blackkirk, you and your team. I know it was a long stretch, but I think we ended up in a really strong place and have some really strong bones moving forward into next year. I'm looking forward to next round's negotiations. I think it's going to be streamlined but just again, big thanks. It takes a lot on both sides to come to a tentative agreement. I don't take it for granted. It's not just we talked about and we read in the governance core, approving a tentative agreement is a major function of the board. It's a major function of the district. It's the health and welfare of a number of our employees. So we take it very seriously. We want to be a destination district for all educators, DTA, CSEA, adult ed, everyone. And the kinds of agreements that we've come up with help us be that destination district. So just big thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Superintendent Brooker. The next item is the senior payroll analyst job description. On February 9th, the board approved this job description subject to negotiation placement with CSEA. The district and CSEA have reached agreement for a salary schedule placement at range 261. And that's been ratified. So we recommend approval of that job description with that salary range.
I'll move adoption.
Motion made by trustee Griffin, second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by trustee Chavez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 4-0. Next.
Also on February 9th of this year, the board approved the administrative assistant 2 fiscal services job description, again, contingent on salary placement. And the CSEA and the district have agreed that this position should be on salary range 147. So we recommend approval of the job description with range 147.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by trustee Chavez, trustee Andrade Zuniga. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by
Since you already
trustee
said-
Chavez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Next.
Next is the instruction department redesign. This is the second phase of the instruction department redesign before the board tonight for approval. And this part of the redesign provides enhanced and targeted support for our multilingual student learners. With the growth of the number of the newcomer students, as was mentioned earlier today by Superintendent Booker, as well as the increase in the total number of bilingual students, this redesign creates a new position that will split the growing responsibilities of the one position we have now, which is the manager, Dr. Showman's position, currently the manager of English learners and academic support programs. The 2 positions will be 1, manager of multilingual learners, and number 2, a split, but it will be contained in a 1 FTE, and that would be the principal of the Bridge program and manager of academic support programs all tied into one position. So that we're kind of dividing Dr. Showman's current position into 2 and adding some other things to them because of the increase in our student numbers and the responsibilities. At the same time that we're adding the 2 positions or making 2 positions, this will also result in a decrease of a current 1.0 position by 6.0, and it will now be a 0.4 position and be called the English Learning Coordinator position. So that helps support the new position.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, motion made by trustee Andrade Zuniga. Is there a second?
Second, I have a quick question.
Second by trustee Griffin with a question.
Is this budget neutral?
No, it's a,
Is it favorable? I mean, I can't tell because there were so many pieces.
it's 1.5.
Yeah. So on just for the public, on page 2 of the memo, we list the fiscal impact. It's $145,000 cost to the district.
Additional.
Additional.
The cost of the
It's,
and then the net's 145.
Yes. Yeah.
there's a motion and a second.
No.
Can I take the vote?
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Moving on.
Before we move on, President Land, just one more quick comment on that. I just want to thank Dr. Kemke, Dr. Schoman, and many others for their support in this instructional redesign. You know, I've spent really the entire year learning about our EL program, our bridge students, the needs there with the data shows, the increase in population. And this goes back to the governance score. We have to be nimble. We have to react and adjust to the needs in the district. And as if the public wants to look at the memo attached to this particular topic, you're going to see that there's a 217% increase in the number of ELD students in the district. That requires a response.
Right.
It requires an immense response. So I appreciate Dr. Kemke's leadership, appreciate Yancey Hawkins for helping us navigate through the budget considerations, Dr. Schoman, all of that. And I'm really looking forward to coming back to you in the spring of next year and report out, how, the positive things that we're doing to address this increase in population and their specific needs. So thank you.
Well, and I definitely appreciate the connection to what we were talking about earlier about putting our money where our mouth is and also prioritizing our priorities, which is we were talking about equity. We were talking about student achievement and increasing student achievement. This is all in line with that. And it will be a prelude to our discussion for the budget, Yancey. So moving right along. Go ahead.
Okay, these next two are also in line with what you were discussing earlier. The number 8 is the coordinator for student equity accounts, the coordinator of student equity council. In the school year of 2021, the district initiated student equity councils that were part of our work to address equity issues on our school campuses. This this past school year, each of our comprehensive schools, as well as Middle College and Peninsula, launched a site student equity council. And in order to support this student work at each site, we recommend the approval of the Student Equity Council Coordinator position, which is a $3,000 stipend position. And there was a typo in the job description where it said certificate. It should have been certificate/classified. So if you prove that, we would modify it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that. So motion made by trustee Andrade Zuniga, seconded by President Land. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried 4-0.
Last one is the district-wide MTSS and 504 coordinator job description that was approved by the board on November 17th. We have looked into this further, and we feel that an additional 15 days is needed to this job. So it would be school days only. School days plus 15. There's a lot of work to be done in coming into the school year and going out of a school year that we feel in order to have this job, the person in this job be successful is needed. So this would be a revised job description with 15 days added to it.
I'll move to approve.
Just a question on that for me.
Sorry.
I'll second it, but the question I have is then it's just taking the person's position and adding 15 days work days on top of what they're
Yeah, and it was unfilled this year. We had a recruitment, but the only ones we had, I think, were teachers, and it wasn't a good time to fill it. So we haven't, or have we filled it yet?
We're in the process.
In the process.
So there's interviews going on and you're deciding.
We've identified.
You identified.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There was a motion made by trustee Andrade Zuniga, a second made by me. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Let's move on. Thank you very much, Dr. Black. Division of Instructional Services, Dr. Kemke.
Yes, so the first item here is the approval of several professional development contracts. So as you remember last year, we did something similar. We're often in negotiations with our different providers towards the end of the year. We bring forward the proposals for discussion, and then if all looks well, we'll move them to consent for the next board meeting. And a couple things about it. Each one of the providers we've been in contract with for at least 2 years, some of them for a little bit longer. And you can see kind of the description of each one. Restorative Equity Partnerships, which is probably the larger contract there, they are coaching all of our Student Equity Council coordinators, MTSS coordinators at the schools, and they're also supporting us in this next year as a transition to have the class as a dual enrollment or a concurrent enrollment. So students in part of the Student Equity Council, fortunately, Restorative Equity Partnerships have somebody on staff that work at a community college. So we're using some of the days with them to make that happen. So students that are part of the Equity Council are actually getting an incentive. The next one is Trust and Saphir. We've been working with them. This will be the 3rd year. Pretty extensive process. When we first identified them, we went out for a request for proposals, went through a process. This is our 3rd year. And you'll note for each one of those contracts that are the larger ones, we've decreased our monetary contributions there just because as we move forward, we're hoping to internalize the work. The other 2 are quite a bit smaller. One of them is with Dr. Butterfield. She's a TA facilitator. We're required to have some work with someone identified through the CDE to support us in our CSACE work or our work with significant disproportionality. And then the 4th one attached there is our work with Effective Youth Solutions, and they've been doing tier 2 coaching for us. So those are the 4 that are attached to this item, and just see if there are questions. Otherwise, we're there's also Elevate Education, which is Ken Shelton. Sorry. So this is another one. We've had a small contract with him this year. So he provided a session at our PD in January, and then he did 2 days with our administrators. This proposal is for him to work with our administrators for 3 days in the fall. So those are the contracts and proposals that are on there, and we're just looking for if there are any questions. Otherwise, we move to have them on consent for the next meeting.
I was going to say, Bob.
Quick question. Did we actually evaluate all the service providers? And we have, written evaluations and so all of these received favorable reviews. Okay.
Yes. So with all of them, we use different types of evaluation. So if it is working directly with students, we've surveyed students on how that coaching and the facilitation has gone. Also surveyed the adults that they work with. For some of them, also we have large surveys that go out if they're professional learning providers, and all of those have been very favorable. If you remember from earlier this year when we've had kind of the reflection on professional development, all of those have been pretty favorable. I will say I'm not going to say that it's always everybody loves it, but we generally look for at least 80% or more who are saying that it's favorable and that they find it impactful for their practice. Some of them, it's less about that survey. We're also looking for that the systems are becoming sustainable. So for the tier 2 coaching, we're hoping to see the teams using their services and implementing them. We've had a little bit of turnover for our assistant principals, so we continuing to need some of that coaching. And then for our direct coaching from someone like Joyce Butterfield, it's just in its infancy, but I will say that she's highly considered an expert in the field, and the comments from the teachers, there's just a couple that are working there have been very favorable. So we definitely evaluate them, and the intention always is that as we work with any kind of providers, that we work on a sustainability plan. So the idea is that we actually internalize the work rather than us having to continually rely on any of these providers. So through the years, you'll see that we've decreased the amount that we're using with each one.
Do we need to make a motion to?
Yeah, to approve the contracts, yeah.
But it's coming back.
It's coming back on consent, so we're all in
Yeah.
consensus. So it's really
Consensus
to move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes? All right. so
President,
we're all-
President Land, we have a online comment. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
online hand raised.
Yep. Are you there?
We're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They go away? They went away.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Thor
We tried.
Thor wanted to talk, but guess not.
Nope.
Okay. Moving right along.
Okay,
So, yeah, so we are in consensus to put on the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Next,
So the next one is our usual practice of having a public hearing for the LCAP. You'll see board memo attachment there that has kind of a executive summary, and our shortened version of the LCAP, as well as the full LCAP is there. And so we'll open up the public meeting in our next,
so we don't have to do the meeting here now?
we do the public meeting
Public
now.
meeting
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
officially we have to close the board meeting, open a public hearing. So we've opened a public hearing for our LCAP and our local indicator report. Anyone want to speak? On the Zoom?
none.
None on Zoom. Anybody in the audience? Not so much. Okay. Public hearing is now going to be closed. And then I'm going to reopen the board meeting. So we've done that. Next.
Thank you.
No problem.
Next one is
Latin.
we're looking for the approval of the Latino course of study. We do have a teacher, the author of the course, Ed Montalongo. Oh, there he is.
Hi there.
If we have any questions about the course, he's worked tirelessly to develop it, and I think already has many students interested. So
Mhm.
Okay.
looking for approval.
Any
I just want
questions
to
or
say
comments?
this is excellent.
All right.
Excellent. Can I take the class if I want?
Any questions? Any comments? Is this a motion to approve?
Yes, please.
I'll
Okay.
move to approve.
There's a motion to approve the course of study. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you very much.
Yay.
Passed.
Thank you.
I do
5-0.
have a question on that. How soon could we expect a report on how the class is going?
So Ed, when do you think you would have some ideas and experiences to share back from the class? Is the
That sounds
question.
good.
Apologies for the noise behind me. I'm at my cousin's graduation party. True to the spirit of Latino studies, I'm in a collective manifestation of joy.
Excellent.
But definitely by the end of the first semester, and for sure by the end of the first year.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
All right. Moving right along, Japanese 3 honors course of study.
We're looking for approval for this course as well. Brian, Mr. Simmons has got more background on it if we have any questions. Otherwise, we
Okay.
look for approval.
All right. Well, if there's a motion in a second, we'll go with it. If there's questions, please ask them now.
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Motion by trustee Andrade Zuniga. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by trustee Chavez. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. All right. Motion carried. And now auténtico. ¿Qué es eso?
So this is a recommendation for a Spanish book, Auténtico. So we're looking for approval here.
Is this world languages? Is this
Spanish, right?
Spanish 1, Spanish
So
2?
It's set down as a public review, not a public hearing.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think we'll have to bring it back to consent at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a public
Yeah.
review.
Right.
Yeah.
But it
Okay.
wasn't under the
It wasn't,
topic.
but yeah, so we'll have to just come back as a consent item at the next meeting.
Is this now auténtico? Is it just for Spanish, one level of Spanish, or is it multiple levels?
1 through 4. Yeah.
1 through 4. So it's this series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, 1 through 3.
1 through 3.
And then there's AP.
Got it. Any other questions?
Question. So on the attachment, there's a textbook adoption timeline. So it says June 8th, board public hearing, then June 22nd, board approval. So
Mhm.
so for June 22nd, can we have or the next board meeting. I noticed we might be changing the June 22nd meeting later in the agenda. So our next board meeting, can we have the public hearing and board approval in the same meeting?
I think we can,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
we need to.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that keeps us on track with the timeline.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
And last but not least, PE athletics credit, Superintendent Booker.
There we go. You guys are just moving fast. All right, thank you very much. So this year, I was approached about an idea around offering PE credit for athletics. This is a program policy that's been in this district before, actually, and this district moved away from it. I think primarily when we moved from a 6-period day to a 7-period day. It was brought forward really under the auspices of student athlete mental health, that we've got students who are taking 7 periods, freshmen and sophomores. One of those 7 periods is PE is a requirement, and then some of these same students are then participating in CIF sports. Under education code, the board can permit this kind of proposal where a student during their PE course, so if they had, let's say they're a sophomore under this proposal, they're a sophomore, they have 3rd period PE, that during their season of sport, if it was a volleyball player in the fall, during 3rd period, they would go to library or study hall and start tackling some of their homework. Then they would have practice after school, games after school. But when their season of sport is completed, they would then jump back into 3rd period PE as normal. Now, it would be a choice for students. Some students back under the old system. And when I say old system, when I was at Burlingame High, I did this when I played soccer. But under the old system, some students will still want to choose to do PE and can do PE. So it's not a forced one way or another. And again, this came out of a desire of trying to support student mental health when they're trying to tackle their homework later on at night after games or practices. In speaking with the athletic department, and you'll see this included in the memo, you'll see what some of the other surrounding school districts are doing. You'll see some pros and cons. I've spoken to some PE reps. There's some pros and cons from our physical education department. I wanted to be fair about that. I'm not asking the board to make a decision this evening. This is really for me to bring to your attention for your review in the next couple of weeks. If you have questions or feedback, you can bring it forward to me. I can try to connect with PE teachers or athletic directors to get any more information that you might have. But this is something, if the board would like to take on, we could even take it on as a pilot for 1 year. However, you might want to take a look at it, but we would look to implement it in the fall. Again, this would only be for sophomores. All freshmen are still required to take PE. Even if they participate in California Interscholastic Federation sport, but sophomores would have the opportunity to take a study hall during their PE period during their season of sport. So I'm happy to try to answer any questions.
I have a question or a request. If you could find out, I know that there are some sports that have their own study hall. If you could find out like how many, I know there's so many, but just, I guess, a ballpark of how many do. That way we can know if they already offer that.
How many schools have study halls? Is that what you asked? I missed that part.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
the sport
No,
of the different schools.
The sport. So
how many sports themselves
Yeah,
have
they
study
already
halls?
hold their own study hall.
But study hall as in, so my question is during the school day? Or
No, it's after school.
besides the school
After,
day?
yeah. So
Because I
some
mean,
of
that's
them-
kind of a, hey, let's all get together and study, or the coach is requiring, hey,
No,
you got to
some-
study with this.
Yeah,
Like
Mike
workout is
Cody,
part
I
of
know
workout.
still requires the football players to.
I can get that to you.
Yeah, thank you.
So my daughter played basketball on varsity for 4 years, but they didn't have a study hall, but they all kind of hung out. But to Superintendent Booker's point about late night homework, not having that extra time to go to the library, for example, or get the extra help, all of them were doing their homework from 9 o'clock to midnight because they had 3-hour practice. I think there was like a rule that if you had a game that night, then you could skip PE, but I don't know if they went to the library. Maybe who knows. But I think this is good to start looking into it and discussing it. Yeah.
I still have some questions, so I'm glad that we're just presenting it, but
Yeah.
I think over time, I think we can evolve
Yeah.
to something that might be worthwhile.
Yeah, I knew there would be questions, that this wasn't a slam dunk, no pun intended, slam dunk policy change. Yeah, right, there we go.
No 3-point play here.
So I would just, encourage the board, if you do have questions or thoughts, get them to me as early as possible, because people are gone for the summer. So it'll take me maybe a little bit of time to reach out to, if I have questions for PE teachers or athletic directors or things like that.
I will try. Yes, definitely.
I'm gonna have to think about this because I was one of the guys that changed that back, and I'm trying to remember
why?
Yeah, I mean, there were some really good reasons at the time why, and I know the state requirements have changed over that period of time. And and we were looking, and now we've got fields and lights, and it's a different set of circumstances than we did. But I'm gonna have to think about what was the original impetus, behind that. So
this would only not benefit, because there's pros and cons, but this would only be an option for sophomores. Is that correct? Because freshmen, they're required to have the mandated PE hours, and then juniors and seniors don't have that PE. Is that
Under
correct?
this proposal,
Yeah.
yes. I want to be fair
Yeah.
and clear. Legally, you could offer this proposal for freshmen as well. But our athletic directors are not recommending that. Our PE teachers are certainly not recommending that. I'm not recommending that. This is really just for sophomores as that academic year ramps up, come sophomore year. As we know, it does, there is an academic leap of rigor between freshman and sophomore year with which to support our students.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we can move on. I know
Great.
Greg walked down. but-
Yes, that's okay. I just can't slam the gavel, but we'll
That's
have to
okay.
do,
yeah.
the next is a public hearing for the budget. So I'm opening it up to the public, closing our board meeting and opening it up to the public hearing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Along with the public hearing, we'll do the overview of the 2023, 2024 budget. First, I would be remiss without thanking Valerie Miller and Vanessa Castano, who have done the vast majority of this work. And so I just appreciate all their hard work in getting this completed. Tonight, I'll go over the budget guidelines. The governors may revise, which we talked about a little bit in May. The 2023-24 budget assumptions. We'll go over the enrollment and staffing projections, which have not changed since the study session at the end of April. Hit on the STRS and PERS retirement rates, as that continues to put pressure on the district's resources. Focus on some one-time fundings and the step down of the things that are being funded by those one-time funding sources. I'll just highlight a few changes from the April budget work study, the material ones, and then we'll hit up the estimated actuals and our public hearing budget and go over next steps. So the board has a set of budget guidelines that it has approved. And we continue to include that in our budget documentation, but I just wanted to hit on just a couple of those. One is maybe we need to change it and add Trustee Griffin putting our money where our mouth is. But until then, setting a consistent parameters of goals to develop the budget that aligns with district goals and priorities. So I think that's our version of put your money where your mouth is. This is an important one as we have a lot of one-time money. Any initiative that uses one-time money will need to indicate how the program will wind down or what funds will be used to continue the program when these funds are vulnerable to cuts. So we'll talk about some of those one-time items as we move forward. Contracts not included in the budgets must be presented to the board for approval with their estimated financial impact to the budget and the financial sources. Just a couple of the other ones.
Could you go back a second?
Yeah.
So you missed one, the the authorizes and approves new goal project. Can you explain that a little bit, what you mean by that? When the
So,
board of trustees
I was, yeah,
authorizes.
absolutely. I wasn't reading each one. I was just going over a couple of
Okay,
ones.
but if
These
we
are the
could
ones
talk
I
about
like
that
to
one a little
highlight.
bit.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. So I'll read it. When the board of trustee authorizes or approves a new goal, project, or programs, it shall specify the allocation or reallocation of resources required to execute that initiative. So, you know, when we decided 7 years ago to really start that mental health program and improve it, the board had to determine where those funds are going to come from. Are they going to be
A grant.
a grant
or
to start up those funds? And then as that goes forward, if they want to continue that, they're going to need to identify a funding source, you know, whether that's
Could
a
we just say
ongoing grant.
general fund?
You can say general fund.
I'm
but
just
it'll-
asking, I'm being.
no, I think it would
Yeah,
be,
it's a
I
funding
think it
source.
would be, that is a funding source. But it shall specify the allocation or reallocation of resources required to execute the initiative. So if we're sitting at a balanced budget, and that is obviously our goal every year, then we need to look at long-term, how are we going to reallocate resources? So if this is a high priority, if we've decided we're going to put our money where our mouth is, that means we may have to discontinue doing other
stuff.
that, you know, might be valuable, but we've decided that goal is.
I just feel it was like, oh, so kind of relevant of what we've been talking about. So I thought we should have gone over that a little bit.
I very much appreciate that, President Land.
All right.
And then this one, I'll read it at the end. The district must ensure its ability to meet its financial commitment each year and temper the desire to innovate and invest in new priorities or provide raises without clear evaluation of the district's current and anticipated fiscal condition. In some ways, that's a rephrasing of the one on the second page. Before we, invest in new priorities or provide raises, we need to really be clear on where our current and anticipated fiscal condition is going to be before we make those. I won't take too much time on the governor's May revise, but I'll hit on a couple of items. The state is doing something that we talk about not doing all the time. The state is proposing to fully fund a statutory COLA to state-funded districts of 8.22% to the LCFF and state categorical programs. As the trustees know, we're not funded by the LCFF. That doesn't necessarily matter to us, but it does matter for our categorical programs. The bigger thing is they are using one-time money, and I'll get into that in a second, in order to do that. They don't have enough funding at this point to actually fund the entire COLA, and they are choosing to do that with one-time funds. So
when you say they, you mean the state.
I mean the state. And that is a concerning, given the state's fiscal condition. So that's something I think we need to monitor. We're a little bit insulated by that, given that we are a community funded school district. But that is concerning. One of the one-time funding options that they are using are $4.3 billion in cuts to grants that were already authorized and in some ways sent to school districts. That's $1.8 billion from the Learning Recovery Block Grant. For the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant, and $2.5 billion to the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. In terms of percentages, the governor's proposal is a 51% decrease to the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant.
Is that the one-time one or is that the ongoing one?
These are both one-time grants.
The one-time grants. Okay.
Yep, they're using the one-time taking back of funding.
I just needed
to fund that.
Things.
So that's up from his proposal in January, and then $1.8 billion from the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. So to put it in perspective for us, what does that mean? $4.4 million to our budget if the governor's budget goes through. Now, I will note that the legislature, both the Assembly and the Senate, both passed budgets that are now going to go into committee with much smaller reductions. So in the end, I do expect those numbers to go down a little bit. But as we go forward, the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant is one of the things funding some of our much needed positions related to COVID relief. In terms of our budget assumptions, I'll just hit a couple. Our assessed valuation was projected at 5.7%. We actually saw a little bit of a bump this weekend. This presentation was done last week. We're now at 6.14%.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep. Yep.
I'm paying
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. We've included, that wasn't included at the April study session, a salary increase of 4%, which is in line with some of our negotiations, as our partners in labor noted earlier tonight. And just a really, I always, and I'm going to hit on it again. When you look at those CalPERS and CalSTRS rate, the CalPERS rate is projected to be almost 27%. That's an increase of 1.3% or approximately $700,000 to $800,000 for next year to the school district. The STRS rate is now at the statutory limit of 19.1%, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. We have just over 1,000 FTE in the district. These enrollment projections are the same as we saw in April. We saw the district's enrollment peak about 3 or 4 years ago, and now we've starting to see a steady decline of 1 to 2% a year, and we continue to project that moving on. While there's some potential financial benefit to that, given that we are a community-funded school district, it comes with a number of other operational issues that we'll be dealing with over the next couple of years.
Sections.
Correct. In terms of staffing projections, our staffing projections are the same from the work study that we did. The position that was approved tonight will be added for first interim. It's not included.
What position? Sorry.
The instructional redesign
Redesign.
will be included.
That's
We
the
don't
expansion
include
you're
that.
talking about.
Correct. We don't include that until it's actually been approved.
Has there been any changes? We did the work study and it's 443. We've had some discussions about Cappuccino and
Those,
Peninsula.
those will be included. Position control was finalized prior to that. We try to set as early as possible. And so any changes to that will be included in the district's first interim update.
Okay, so any adjustments that we make changed from the work study and the public hearing
Will be included in the first interim budget.
So can we talk about that now, or do you want me to talk about that later?
We can talk about that now.
So what's the number? So we have 443 FTE.
I'd have to go back and look at
That's what I'm
the
saying.
exact number right
I didn't
now.
want to put you on the spot.
Oh,
That's
no,
what
I
was trying to
appreciate
say.
that.
So, okay, so we can discuss that later, but what you're saying is the discussion that we had, or the discussion that Superintendent Booker was talking about with Cappuccino and adjustments to.
Correct. All those
class
adjustments
size.
will be included in the first interim
And there
when
is
we
a
go
change
there.
from these. So
There is a small change.
So
from
looking at
there.
the 443, it might look a little different.
It might look a little bit different.
That's what I'm
At
saying.
first interim.
That's
So,
what
and we'll talk about those changes.
Okay.
Then.
Thank you.
Yep. In terms of STRS rate, we've now hit our statutory cap at 19.1%. Just to put that into perspective, in 2013, that rate was 8.25% that school districts. So that's 10% increase. That's had a real impact on districts across the state. I note though that it says it's the statutory impact, the statutory cap at 19.1%, because only the legislature can set STRS rates. But when they changed that in 2013, they actually gave STRS the authority to increase it 1% above that, which the STRS CEO loved to tell us that in her meeting with us at the CBO at the CASBO conference, but they have not increased it for next year. They've already officially announced that. In terms of the PERS rate, there is not a statutory cap on the PERS rate. The PERS board has the authority to set rates in order to fully fund the program. I noted earlier that is going up about 1.3% in 23-24. An additional cost to the district, approximately $750,000 annually. And the projections had flattened back at this time last year. They had flattened in the out years. And now, as you can see, we're using the PERS projections as they're going up. In terms of one-time funding, most of these funding is related to COVID, but there's a couple other one-time funding options. There's been some significant one-time money at the state over the last few years, although no projected additional one-time funding for 23-24. This is over $20 million to the school district and relates primarily to COVID related issues in terms of learning loss and others.
I know we've spent a great deal of this. How much is left in our accounts as of right now?
So that depends on whether the cut comes in there. And just to be clear, when we talk about that, we're not talking about the A to G success, A to G learning loss, and arts and music and instructional materials, and the California Learning Community school success. But between the ESSER2, ESSER3 learning loss, the ELO, and learning recovery emergency, depending on how you calculate the potential cut, we have $5 to $7 million. In terms of this, the board has reviewed at the second interim, the step down of the 24 positions related to those COVID positions. And so we'll bring back additional information on the state budget if there are reductions to that learning loss funding. But at this time, we're not recommending any changes to that step down plan. In terms of changes since the budget work study, 2 items, secured property taxes. I believe we were at 6.3% at the study. We're at 5.3%. And we're at 5.7. So that's an increase of a little over $1 million.
6.1 now.
In this presentation, we're at 6.14% as of this morning.
Yeah.
As of last Thursday, we were at the 5.7. So that's why it's in the presentation.
Got it.
So secured property taxes have increased a little over $1 million. We got some good news. Our special education AB 602, we got updated numbers from our SELPA, which has seen an increase of a little over $1 million. So that's good news that the state is starting to make some inroads into meeting their commitment to fund special education. And as we noted, we've increased the salary schedules to 4%, matching our current situation in negotiations. And one other thing to identify is our property and liability rates. We put a pretty sizable actually increase in our budgets in the study session, and it's actually $332,000 more than that. The 2 big factors that are moving that are the continued trouble getting fire coverage across the state of California, and the SAM lawsuits that we've seen across the state. Overall, estimated actuals, we see about a $1.6 million deficit. That's mostly just the spending down of restricted funds that we received in prior years. And for the projected budget for 2023-24, we have about a $1 million unrestricted excess of expenditures over revenues, and then a $2.7 million spend down of the COVID funds over that period. So altogether, an excess of expenditures over revenues we noted a strong financial, when Superintendent Booker noted a strong financial position, and this is what he was noting. We're projecting about a 17% reserve at the end of 2023-24. Yep.
I know you hate me. Sorry.
No.
What if you took out the one-time fee, the one-time monies
Yep.
from the 37 million?
Yeah.
What you think? What would the percentage of reserve really be?
It would be a little bit lower than that, but not maybe 3% lower than that. I'd have to pull
3%,
that.
So maybe 13% or 14%.
14%. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. All right, next steps. So on the 22nd, or if we move that, we will adopt the 23-24 budget and LCAP. We'll continue to review the San Mateo County Assessed Valuation Tracker. As we just saw, it can change overnight. We need to continue to manage one-time funds and move forward with our step down. Finally, we're finalizing negotiations, at least most of the financial parts with our bargaining units. In the fall, we'll get final enrollment and staffing. And then we'll analyze how long-term management plans align with the district's goals and LCAP. To Trustee Griffin's point, we'll manage the fund balance and financial resources to maintain long-term fiscal solvency and stability, and we'll resist using future projected dollars or one-time monies to justify paying for one-time expenses. One additional thing that I would like to note, we won't see on the 22nd, we won't see the impact of the adopted state budget because they won't have an adopted state budget right up until the deadline, at least of June 15th. And they found some new tricks in order to actually pass a budget without all of those little details in there. So if there's any major changes in the budget, we'll do a 45-day revision, but likely the adopted state budget will be included in our first interim analysis, or if it's just some items, we would include it in our unaudited actuals presentation in September. With that, I'm happy to open it up to questions.
I have a question. I don't know if you Yancy, know about the funding that I guess CSBA was asking board members to write to our legislators about funding coming in for the court and community schools. Do you know if that's going to be affected by all this?
I don't currently, but I can get that information and send it out. There was something that SF Squared just sent out.
Yeah.
State one or federal?
The state one.
Mhm. There was an article that came out just
Yeah.
before from Schools for Sound Finance that I haven't actually gotten a chance to read yet. But if there's important news, I'll let the board know about that.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All right, thank you.
Nope, sorry, one more.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to the 22-23 public hearing and you look at the reserves again, I know you said about maybe 14% the reserve, but the assumptions. So going back to your other slide about the 23-24 assumptions, you have in there potentially compensation change, a raise that in there, right?
No, in our
salary
study
increase
in the study session.
See the salary increase?
Yeah, for the
So that's
public hearing,
included?
that's included in this budget.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yep.
Okay.
Question,
Yeah.
No, I want to thank you for the presentation and thanks to your entire team, the two V's, Vanessa and Valerie. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you. Because it takes a lot of work to put this together. So I have a quick question. On page 8 and 9, could you explain the difference between the STRS and the PERS, the blue bars versus the red? I know the red bar is the
thank
total
you.
statutory rate. So could you explain the difference between, you could pick either slide.
So on either slide,
Yeah.
the blue line represents the STRS or PERS rate only. And then the red rate is the fully loaded costs. So those are the other costs that are driven by salaries. So that could be Medicare at 1.45%, workers' comp at a little over 1.5%, and then the state unemployment rate, which actually we saw a little decrease in, so that was good, to 0.05%. The bigger difference actually is on the classified side. And the big difference there that's not in certificated is our classified members pay into Social Security as well as the district. So not a ton of people know that our certificated staff do not pay into Social Security and do not receive Social Security.
I knew that. I didn't know the classified paid and just because I was looking at the PERS, what slide is this? This is slide 9. Yeah, there's about a 10% differential between both of those bars.
Yeah,
So
and that's the 6.2% of Social Security, along with about 3% or 1.45% for Medicare and the 1.5% for a little over 1.5 for workers' compensation.
and thanks to the finance team, amazing job again.
Yeah, it's a ton of work.
Thank you too. Sorry, I had tons of questions, but thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much.
Does this need approval or just?
No, this is just the public hearing. We'll
Okay.
bring it back for adoption on the 22nd or the whatever date. it
On
gets
the
moved
next
to.
meeting.
The next meeting. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Public hearing on reserves in excess of minimum reserve requirement. You might as well just go back up there.
I was gonna sit down.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. As part of the midnight, gosh, that's got to be almost 10 years ago now. As part of the the fund balance cap bill that was passed several years ago, there actually was one piece of, I think, really good legislation that was a piece of transparency legislation, noting why do you keep the level of reserves that you do? In our district, obviously, there is a board policy around keeping at least a 12% reserve. Now, to be clear, the fund balance, the reserve cap does not apply to any community funded district, as they know, those revenues can be much more volatile. And so the board has, very smartly got a reserve policy of 12%. But this is a piece of transparency that notes all the reasons that we keep the level of reserves that we do. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have to do a public hearing about this or this is just a discussion?
We need a public hearing.
Both? Okay. Yes, both are. So I'm going to close the meeting.
Yep.
Close this, open for public discussion. Any comments on board? Nope. That was for both the annual budget and the excess. Closing the meeting and closing the public hearing and opening up the school board meeting. Perfect. Okay. Done officially.
Thank you.
Yes. Yay. Last one, approval, bus.
Okay, this is what I'm really excited about.
I know.
This
is cool.
This has taken a long time. We moved through with the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. But as trustees know, we received about a $4.4 million grant. Of that, $3.2 million was to purchase 8 large type 1 buses that can hold about 50 plus kids in there. Really excited, electric buses, fully funded by the Carl Moyer grant. That grant was finalized, and now we actually get to order the buses. So this is a large purchase, obviously $3.2 million. They will be fully covered by the Carl Moyer grant. One thing I will note that I would ask for adjustment in the motion is that we're buying through Bus West through a piggyback contract with Hemet. So almost all purchases of buses are through
school district.
Yeah, Hemet School District. Yes.
How unique.
How unique.
So how'd you get partnered with them?
So the major bus carriers usually go through, 1 or 2 a year, and then the other school districts.
Group discount. I love it.
Exactly. And the other districts
you got a Groupon.
use that
gotcha.
ability.
I gotcha.
So,
all right. Motion.
I'll make the motion. Do we need to adjust it to
motion.
say? Motion with the whatever
Motion
adjustment.
with the
for
caveat.
yeah, that's legal counsel requested that.
To purchase it with a helmet.
Yeah.
Yes. Helmet.
Is there a second? Second by trustee Griffin. Motion made by trustee Chavez with amendment, seconded by trustee Griffin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carried the way you wanted it to be.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. We're moving along. So we are now at board operations. I am going to open it up if anybody wanted to make their board comments. This is where I was going to remove
Yeah.
to
You
the
wanna
board
go?
comment time.
Go ahead.
And if you don't want to, we can just keep going.
Oh, please.
Okay.
We're way ahead of schedule, trustee.
All right, go ahead.
President Land. Okay, I'll condense my notes, okay? Because I can't read my writing, it's kind of late already. Well, I just want to say that May was a very busy month, with lots of students, hey, I saw that. Lots of events around students. And I want to say, we had a couple groundbreaking events, Burlingame High School, San Mateo High School, both very exciting events, and students speaking. I love the interaction with the students there. As well as all the graduations were very exciting. I attended 2 graduations. They were very special. And then
Trustee
afterwards.
Sorry, can you slow down because
Oh, I'm sorry.
the poor captioner.
You're right. I wasn't even
Or
thinking
the,
about
I'm
that.
sorry,
I just know Greg wanted me to
yes,
hurry.
I'll interpret it.
Because Greg wanted me to hurry. So, okay, let me read.
She's doing great too.
Okay. So I had the wonderful opportunity to attend 2 graduations, and speaking with students and parents, they're very excited about the next phase, whether it's going to pursue college or a trades program. Some are working full time, some are joining the military. Some students, I was a little jealous, are taking a gap year, a year of travel. So talking to different students and their parents, super excited, all the graduations. And I want to echo what Superintendent Booker said earlier. There's so much excitement around the graduations, fun filled, and the grounds. I want to thank maintenance and everybody involved. I was also very excited to attend the bridge program celebration that was held right here at the district office in this very room. The room was transformed and it kind of looked like this room just a little bit, but things were on the wall. I mean, it was very personalized. All the students had signs up on the wall for folks to go up and sign a goodbye, and their picture was there, and they won awards. And thank you, Dr. Showman, for spearheading that event. And all the families were there. And Dr. Julia Kemke and Mr. Brian Simmons attended as well. And oh my God, I forgot about the Ken Awards. I'm going to let President Land talk about that because we
scratched mine off.
Because we had President Land and Trustee Jacobson and Superintendent Booker and many staff members were there. We had at least a dozen staff members there to celebrate the 2 awards that we received for our district. So I'm going to let Greg talk about that. And then let's see, a couple more notes here. Last weekend, I attended a goodbye barbecue celebration for an elementary school that is closing this month. It's from one of our feeder school districts. And this is actually the school that both my daughters attended, K5, Rollingwood. My daughters attended there. It's just a few blocks from my house. So due to low enrollment, it's a lengthy process. This process started in 2017, but it's closing this month. So that was a bit bittersweet. And then, I wanted to mention this too about Cappuccino Band. Okay, so even though school is out and folks are celebrating the summer break, Sunday, a few days ago, was the 81st Posey Parade in San Bruno. The 81st Posey Parade, it's always hosted by the Lions. They do an excellent job. And the Cap Band marched and performed in the parade. So that's exciting. And then one more thing. Last but not least, I attended the funeral services for Ms. Tammy Kim. She was a former teacher from Hillsdale, and Trustee Jacobson attended as well. And there were several staff members that just showed their support. I met some students there and some staff members, and I just wanted to share a couple of things. So this was the brochure. And I just want to share this because it was really moving to hear so many people talk about how this teacher impacted their lives, other teachers' lives, and as well as the students. I just want to share 2 things from the back of the page. Quotes that were found hanging in Tammy's room. The most beautiful people are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. That's from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And then one more excerpt from this it's really moving. So this is again quotes found in Tammy's room. Simple formula for living. These are notes that she had in her room. That's how it was expressed to us. Live beneath your means. Return everything you borrow. Stop blaming other people. Admit when you make a mistake. Give clothes not worn to charity. Do something nice and don't get caught. Listen more, talk less. Every day take a 30-minute walk. Strive for excellence, not perfection. Be on time. Don't make excuses. Don't argue. Get organized. Be kind to unkind people. Let someone cut ahead of you in line. Take time to be alone, cultivate good manners, be humble, realize and accept life isn't fair. Go an extra day without criticizing anyone. Learn from the past, plan for the future, live in the present. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. And I just want to say that there was not a dry eye in the room. I was very moved by what folks shared. And on that, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
I have something.
Okay.
I also attended Miss Kim's service. Miss Kim was my son's teacher when he did child development, and I just wanted to share a memory. She was really inclusive, and she had asked us if we could come and talk to the kids about disability justice and disability just in general to the kids that are attending the preschool at Hillsdale. And so that was really neat. Because the kids are little, and some of the students were there as well that work with the kids. So that program was really unique because it not only helped the students maybe get a liking for becoming a teacher, but also it gave that connection with Hillsdale and then with the community. So that was really neat. And she was a really great person. I also wanted to say congratulations to all the graduates and their families. It really takes a village to raise kids and to get them up and out into the world. I was able to attend Cavicino's, and I was able to go to Hillsdale. And I also attended Peninsula's. One of our family members graduated, and I want to say that Trustee Griffin's speech was really nice.
All right.
And he cleans up very well.
Oh,
yeah. He looked really handsome. But it was nice. It was really nice to be there. So thank you for everyone who coordinated all of those events. It's a lot. Just a few more things and then I'll stop. Please volunteer for the Peace Pantry at Hillsdale. People are still hungry and they're still in need of services over the summer. So they're still looking for folks to help deliver food on Fridays at 7 a.m., to work in the clothes closet, and to also work in the community garden. So there's some information on the Hillsdale High School website for folks that are interested in helping out. Saturday is the LGBTQIA plus festival in San Mateo at Central Park, and there's also a parade at 10 a.m. going from 2nd Street to B Street. So join the commission, the LGBTQ commission, and the Pride Center, as well as other service or providers that will be coordinating that, and then all of the different celebrations for Juneteenth throughout the month. It's also Immigrant Heritage Month. We do acknowledge all of the immigrants in our community that make this community so great. So thank you. And with that, I will conclude. Thank you. I was in the front. I came, yeah.
Bob, do you want to?
Since nobody's listening, I can say I really enjoyed the two ceremonies that I participated in, and Dr. Kemke really she had her A game going on too. So
Yeah.
And Mills was quite a pleasure. And did you see those pictures? You were captured. I've never had a picture. Pam sent me the pictures, lest you guys think I'm
In her regalia.
You do clean up well. Look at you.
Yeah, there's surprise. It took me this long to graduate and have somebody take my
Looking good
picture.
there, buddy.
Aww.
So
that was at Mills.
I mean, of all the stuff, I really enjoyed the ceremonies.
And I saw, I forgot to mention, I saw Dr. Black at Aragon. We took pictures together.
All right. Anything else? You good?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So I just have a few things. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who went to Kent Awards. It was huge. I was so nervous that was going to go.
Great.
No, it was, I just really
As the
appreciated.
president, I forgot to mention you did a great.
I just wanted to say I was so proud of our district representing. We had 2 amazing Kent Awards. I know one of them was discussed tonight, but that was just totally, I was very happy to see that as the president and doing the whole organization. And it was like, okay, and we got 2 good winners, 2 full tables. So thank you. Appreciate it. That was awesome. As everyone said, I was really honored to be part of Middle College. I had never done that before. So being part of that, I think, Randall, you did a great speech. I was very impressed by that. It got kids thinking. I also went to San Mateo. I love Yvonne because she gets it done, and it's like boom, to boom, 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 and we're out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel that way, but you're like, and you're on time. So that was awesome. I do have a question because I was looking at what, Bob, what you were looking at. You guys get dressed up. Sometimes some schools wear the graduation gowns, and sometimes you don't.
They don't,
I was hoping we could be consistent.
We should be consistent. So Aragon I attended Aragon. I was really surprised that 442 graduates at Aragon, and I'm telling you, everything was like.
Oh, I have to
great.
stop you. It's
No.
10 o'clock.
Is
Do
it
we
10?
want to keep going?
Well, we have to finish them. We have to finish them.
No, I'm just telling, I'm following the bylaws in the
Yeah.
handbook. I'm following the bylaws in the handbook.
To extend the meeting.
Yes, extend.
There's some
Anybody
things that
against
we
that?
can table, right? Like.
No, I'm just,
No,
I'm just doing officially what we have to
Yeah,
do.
we have to extend at least
Yeah.
once.
So we're extending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I know, so I mentioned that 442 students at Aragon, and I mentioned, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, they actually had, to your point about the gown, that they had leased some gowns, and they had a gown for me and whatever that's
So-
called around the neck.
Something to think about
Yeah.
for next
Your
year.
hood.
I mean, who's going to get a
Yeah.
gown and who's not? I mean, I love when we do, and I don't care if we don't. It's just,
I just wore the.
that's what I'm saying. Just
I just
Anyway.
wore the one I got in college because we bought those. starting-
I also wanted to talk about, I was really happy to go to Burlingame's groundbreaking and got to meet Dr. Fong for the first time. So hopefully in my future position, we'll do some, connecting. Julia, I'm going to ask you to help me out with that too.
Did you know that Yancy Hawkins made fun of me and another person for going on both of the tractors at both of the groundbreakings?
No, I did
And
not.
Yancy is in one of the photos being on the tractor.
And the final thing is I wanted to share my speech, my graduation speech that I did for my 8th graders. It's promotion speech. So it's only about 10 minutes. It's cool, but I'm just kidding. I'm not thinking about it. No, but it's really good. I mean, I'm proud of it.
Email
Anyway,
it to us. Email. it.
I'm totally messing
You
around.
can share it.
I am totally messing around.
Post it on Facebook.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Okay. On that note, no, I was in a suit. This is what I wear before the ceremony, because we're rolling around and getting all the chairs and stuff and doing what every high school maintenance person is doing, which is getting the chairs ready, getting the decorations ready, getting everything set. So it was really not easy. All right. On that note, we are all done talking about our what we've done and having our comments. So we're going to move. We need to reschedule the June 22nd meeting to a different date. Superintendent Booker and I have discussed this. Our proposal is to set it to June 20.
September.
Sure.
That's where my brain's at right now. See, I'm really losing it at this point. June 27th. Can we do June 27th? I can. Yes.
Okay.
No, I totally get it.
Um,
While you're doing that and looking, I'm just going to assign you guys to your committees so that we can get this done faster. So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
yes.
Notice after 10 o'clock, I start becoming, turning into a pumpkin and obnoxious. June 27th, Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Fine.
7.
Yeah, normal time.
Normal time.
Yep. 7 p.m. open
7
session.
p.m.
We'll
open
talk
session.
about when
We'll talk
closed
closed
session.
when.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. So we
I
did
think-
it. Consensus.
That's true. I didn't see
Yeah, but that was
Oh,
earlier.
dead.
I don't know if
Which
it's
is
still.
right now.
Oh, it's gone.
Okay.
It's gone. Okay. So the next one is our committee and board assignments. You all have So I am open to entertaining, whatever you guys want. We're gonna do
President
it.
Land, the ASL interpreter, sorry.
Oh, yes. The interpreter. Hi. Question. You're on mute.
There we go. What's working? I just wanted to remind you to change your interpreters for Hannah.
Got it.
Also to change the schedule date as well, because we're already
in the
set
notes,
for the.
because it's
Yes.
ASL. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
You're
Much
welcome.
appreciated.
No
That was the
problem.
hand raised for the-
Superintendent Booker's taking a note of that.
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
Thank you.
So getting back to our committee assignments. So again, right now, if you look at it, we're going to do a rotation, however you want to do that rotation. However we want to change it, we might want to talk about schools. Is there any preferences that you have? Let's talk about that. And let's see where we want to go. The committees, is there anything that you want to change with the committees? Do we want to sustain on those committees? What do you want to do with that? We haven't met as a budget advisory. So I was wondering if we're going to, because we had not met yet. And I usually, when with Dr. Skelly, it was usually Yancey, myself, and one or two members, and we'd usually discuss kind of before. So I don't know where we're going to go with that now. So I'm wondering if we're going to do that or not. So
Yeah, we'll set that up starting for the fall. Yeah.
So I'd like to stay on that committee so I can be in a meeting.
I would like to join that too, if
Okay.
possible, because it's
All right.
not my strength and
Budget.
I grow.
Do you mind if I stay on it?
No.
Okay, then we'll both be
Ew,
on it.
yes.
Okay.
And
Any
I was
other
gonna-
preferences?
Yeah, I was gonna mention, I love all the committees, so
No, you
No,
can't be on all of them.
let me finish my sentence.
okay.
first. Okay, so I definitely want to stay on I definitely want to stay on the COC, but I was just wondering, I've been on the-
COC, got it.
yeah, and I've been on the Equity Advisory Committee for 2 years, which is an awesome committee. I just wanted to put that out there if somebody else wanted to take my spot. I know Leahy is on that committee as well, so we
Yeah, I
can't
want to
prove it both.
stay on.
You're gonna,
equity.
and you want to stay, so I've finished 2 years and I'll gladly stay, but I just wanted to put that out there if somebody wanted to say one of you wanted to switch the property committee for the Equity Advisory Committee, I'd be open to that as well. Or I don't mind staying on the Equity Advisory Committee because I think it's an amazing group of people. I just wanted to make that.
We
available
can
if
put
somebody was-
Jennifer, if you want to be on the property committee, we can have Jennifer be on the equity advisory.
Well, I wouldn't ask her because I'm impartial. I mean, but I do like.
Okay, so we can leave that up in the air for now.
Especially with the
Um,
great group of people. And food. I was gonna mention food. I don't want you guys to know.
so I think we'll do schools last. So Bob, do you want to stay on the property committee? Okay, so property sounds good to you. All
The
right.
best kind of committee. Huh?
Okay. So pretty much we're staying on committees. Lehia, you're going to join budget. Then if we talk about cities, what kind of rotation do you want to do with cities?
I think Foster City is hard for me because I'm really active in.
Well, no, we're moving.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask if I could have San Bruno and have San Bruno. Doesn't mean that trustee Zuniga would have Foster City, but I just wanted to see if we can see what folks are
Okay.
interested, but I would like to try to.
So you're interested in San
San
Bruno.
Bruno.
Anyone
So I go to a
else
lot of
interested in something
events.
different?
And something different. Yes, I've been with Millbrae and with Burlingame before.
Do you want to do
So-
San Mateo?
Sure.
Okay. Is there anything you wanted to do?
Yeah. that'd be
Oh,
good.
now we're going to our favorites. I see. So I'm going to do Burlingame Hillsborough.
How about?
Started watching their city council.
Uh-huh.
So, trustee Leonard, are you gonna keep Burlingame and Hillsborough together or do you,
Yeah.
oh, you are, okay, I was just wondering, because I could
Yeah,
do San Bruno
so-
and Millbrae.
Are you gonna do
If you wanted to
Burlingame?
separate
No.
Hillsborough
I
and
think what we're going to
Burlingame.
do, just based on what we just did, it's going to be Terry, San Bruno, Jennifer, Millbrae, Greg, Hillsborough, and Burlingame, Lehia, San Mateo, and Bob, Foster City.
Mm.
Okay. And then schools can be totally different. So let's, I think we tried to keep it connected. Do we want to keep it connected? So the question I would have is, if you're Foster City, then you do Aragon and Hillsdale. And then if you're Burlingame, Hillsborough, you do Burlingame detail. Do you want to do it that way? Or do you want to just kind of blow it out of the water?
We can mix it up too.
I'm totally fine with either.
I don't care. It's 10 o'clock.
Does anybody have?
Honestly.
That's why we're doing this. So he's like, just whatever I want.
Well,
Okay, got it.
Graduating from CAP this year, so I'd like to have CAP.
That actually works because if you're San Bruno, you're cap in the adult
I
school.
like to have CAP
In the adult school.
yes.
Okay. All right. Millbrae would be Millbrae and Peninsula. Mills and Peninsula. And then Burlingame would be Burlingame and DTAC. DTAC, and I haven't done DTAC, so that's cool. Lehigh, would you be San Mateo and Middle College?
I've done some of it. Could I switch that with Hillsdale or with Aragon?
Yeah, you
Can
cool
we
with
switch?
that? So can you do Aragon and San Mateo? You
Okay.
haven't? Okay.
Oh, and that's
Good.
your alma mater.
Okay.
Yeah. San Mateo. I do.
She'll be Hillsdale and Middle College. Lehigh.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then you're San Mateo and Aragon.
We also missed adult.
No, she's adult.
Oh, okay, cool. I
Okay.
just didn't see. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
I have it if you need it. I wrote it down. Okay. Oh my gosh, we did it. And it's only 10 after 10. Are we
So
ahead
can
of
you
schedule?
repeat that
Almost.
just to
Okay.
clarify?
So,
Could you repeat it?
yeah, I'm going to repeat it. So, Terry, you are San Bruno, CAP, Adult School, and COC. Jennifer is Millbrae, Mills, and Peninsula, and continuing on property. Then myself, I'm going to be Burlingame and Hillsborough, Burlingame and DTAC High Schools, Budget Committee. Lehigh, you're San Mateo City, Hillsdale, and Middle College. You're on Budget and Equity. Bob, you're Foster City, San Mateo High School, and Aragon, and you're on the Property Committee.
And I guess I'll stay on the equity.
Yeah, I can do
advisory
bridge too.
as well.
Yeah, can I do bridge as well?
Bridge, yeah.
Mhm.
I just forgot that. Okay, all right, and we're good. Done. So next thing on the agenda for board operations is San Mateo Adult School name change. Replace San Mateo Adult School to San Mateo Adult and Career Education.
Yeah, I'll take it. So this is really a shift that came about a few years ago when California, the state of California, changed the way that adult schools are governed, operated, and financed through consortiums. Many adult schools across the state updated their name to reflect that transition toward more of career education, not just adult school. It might seem minor, but it's really a big deal, and we're seeing it across across the state. So we're asking that we replace the name from San Mateo Adult School to the San Mateo Adult and Career Education.
Okay. Yeah, everybody, is that a kind of consensus? We good?
Mhm.
We're good.
Great.
What's the cost implication? I mean, I'm good with the name change. I'm just curious that
What's the
anytime
cost?
something changes, do you have to reprint everything, and do we have to change the website, and do we have to, is there a lot of stuff?
There are some changes to make, but I would say it's pretty negligible due to most things being just electronic now. So I think it's quite negligible.
Okay.
We good?
So I think you should you should take official action with a motion in a second.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to go through with the
Okay,
change.
is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those,
Oh.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Chavez, trustee Chavez made the motion, trustee Andrade Zuniga made the second. All right, so last thing is a review and discussion of specific board policies and administrative regulations for March updates part 2.
Just want to remind you that we're still way ahead of schedule. Yay.
Hey, I'm trying to plug us along. Let's go.
Yeah, these are the legislative updates for no move to consent next.
All
week.
normal to, yep, anything.
Legislative, yeah, all legislative. What do you?
Okay, and that's it. Where last agenda item is future board agenda items. Anything that we need to discuss that you want to put on the agenda?
No, everything's on the list. Mhm.
Everything's on the list.
Yeah, so just for the public, we've got a superintendent evaluation special board meeting June 12th. That's
12th.
closed session. Management contracts will be coming on June 27th now. Student board representation. representative presentation, June 27th, a gateway update, June 27th. And we already did the school committee, city board assignments. So
Yep.
I think we're
We're
good.
ahead of the game.
I have a question. When do we do the officer rotation?
It's always in December.
December.
Every school district
I
does it in
thought we were
December.
changing it though because of this beginning of the school year.
Can't do that. The bylaws, the California Ed Code is always it's always in December.
December.
All 1,000 school districts.
You
December.
sure? I think we talked about that.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
We talked about changing the assignments
It
for
has
the
to be
for the
December.
schools, which we just did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And yeah,
Yeah.
because the rotations with the elections, it's
Yeah.
always the new people coming in will be a part of the.
Every school
rotation.
district does it in December.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Can't
Thank you.
change that.
Okay,
Can't change that.
on that note,